This is big, the best present for everybody, for TV, for my fans, for everybody, for boxing.
You're listening to The Boxing Voice.
It's showtime! Welcome back, boxing fans. Blood is good. Blood is emotion. Too much blood coming out of the eye. Blood is a story, a drama.
Deep gas, blood pouring right into his eye.
Blood is what we want to see in terms of passion.
Blood streaming now from the cut in the eye, the nose, his mouth, his cheeks swollen, and he's still strong.
What we want is a bloody good fight tonight. We have Heather, the Heat Hardy. Is this you?
This is me. I think I need to talk to you every night because you make me smile and blush. Oh, yeah.
Never been a lame-o, never been a lame-o. Yeah, I love the trick. I'm okay.
You serious? You serious? And that's the good thing about UK. That's why I can't hate on them guys, man. They love fucking boxing. No fighters in England. They all bums.
Did you hear what this idiot just said?
Yo, son, you're gonna get your ass beat by Molina, son.
Are you fucking kidding me? He's overrated.
Do some pushes for me right now.
For the interview?
Yes. Let those gifted hands go. Get out of here, Virgil. Go home.
What next? BoxingVoice.com.
This is why we station.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another edition of the Boxing Voice. And tonight, I can guarantee excitement because Gennady Golovkin fought yesterday, man. And every time he fights, everybody calls in. Everybody got something to say. So first and foremost, as always, take care of business. Thank you to, of course, Christopher. You know who you are, man. You got that subscription, and, of course, we appreciate that. Subscribing to our PayPal and continuing to support our movement. All the new writers that contacted us, wanting to write for the website. Thank you, brother. Strength is in numbers. Now we just got to get everybody to be on the same page in terms of talent. And we're going to take over this boxing thing, man. One fan at a time. We're going to take over, man. We're like an army, without a doubt. iTunes reviews, man. Thank you to everybody. Thank you even to the guys that give us that 1-star review. I know that you guys don't like Blog Talk. Bear with us. Our time will come. Audible.com, and everyone that continues to go over to theboxingvoice.com/affiliate sponsors and clicking on the Audible banner and getting the opportunity to take advantage of 1 free month of many, over 150 titles over there. You know, it's just like listening to a podcast. Just pop open the book on your app. And, hit the treadmill. Go for a walk. They got plenty of titles over there. Muhammad Ali, Cinderella Man, Sound and Fury, a bunch of things. The Ageless Warrior, Al Bernstein's book. Take advantage. And, of course, on it.com, they have a little bit of everything over there. Whether, you're looking for supplements or you're a coffee guy like me, they got some official Colombian coffee. I'm telling you, I can definitely vouch for this. I'm a coffee man myself. My day job, I have a lot of experience with that. So believe me, Honest Colombian coffee is pretty good. They actually brew it only in one location. It's a very small mom and pop organization that they got going on over there in Colombia, and they import it using On It. And it's pretty good, man. And, moving right along because we want to get through these sponsors as soon as possible, but we have to give them, adequate time for being the first of many intelligent people to support us. Fast Break Bail Bonds, of course. If you're ever in trouble, 973-497-7000. I think MV2 might need that number, man. He hasn't called in a while. He might be locked up. But the number you don't ever want to forget, 646-478-3068. Boxing Voice, voice of the people. Let's fucking do it, man. Where should we start? I'm going to take it down to Fox Sports Deportes because I was impressed with Frankie Gomez. Coming off a long layoff, being incarcerated and not using fast break bail bonds, just kind of a guy you couldn't trust or rely on. I'm not sure. And then he was taking on Vernon Paris, pretty much the same thing, a head case, but only one loss and only to Zab Judah. You know, before that, he looked very good on ESPN, taking care of Tim Coleman. So what did you guys think of this? I'm pretty sure James wasn't there, right, James? Because you had your fighter?
Yeah, I was in Phoenix.
Was your fight Saturday or Friday?
My fight was yesterday. It was at Saturday.
This happened Friday night, but I guess you didn't watch it. What about you? Did you catch Vernon Paris?
I saw this fight. I don't know. Vernon Paris, he is what he is, man. He might only have one loss to Zab Judah, but he's never been an elite. He's never been a B fighter. He's a C fighter. This is a great step up, though, for Frankie Gomez. Like you said, man, he's been hit and miss, man. There's a lot of hype coming up for him, or coming up when he was like going up the prospect rankings and stuff, but because of his outside issues, man, he was never able to get that train on track. But I mean, he looked good. I want to see if he can continue, because a lot of stuff that happens in boxing is mental, and if you're mentally not stable outside the ring, you're not going to be mentally stable inside the ring. So I'd like to see him push forward, but I agree with you, man. I think he looked good.
I expected the matchup to be more competitive, and I didn't really think that Paris would unfold like that. But it just seems like, you know, the least bit of discomfort, the least bit of adversity that Paris faces in the ring, he kind of just unfolds. You know, he just doesn't have that wherewithal to kind of kick it up a notch and go into second gear and just switch it up and dig down deep. And that's not to discredit the guy. Like you said, James, he is who he is. He is what he is. And that's probably all he's going to be, with all due respect. I just think that he's going to be that guy that can beat, you know, mediocre talent, but I don't think he's ever going to be able to step it up. And not to say that Gomez is that next level, but you know, he's a decent fighter in his own right, and he's not a journeyman by no means. But it just seems to me like Paris is just not going to be able to beat a certain level of fighter, and he's just going to be at that, you know, the level he's at right now. And I don't see him getting any better.
Yeah, I mean, what surprised me most about Gomez, though, is that the amount of time he's taken off and all the, you know, fighting once a year, he looked technically sound. He didn't look like he had too much ring rust. He went in there and did the job. I mean, just his combination punching, getting in, getting out. A lot of times he needs to be more of an inside fighter, because every time you see him in like sparring footages and stuff like that, it seems natural. All his other fights, it seems natural for him to be on the inside.
He's so strong. He's very strong.
Exactly. But sometimes he does become complacent. He sits on the outside and boxes when he really, really shouldn't. And I think that in the long run, if he doesn't shake that could give him some serious issues. If he thinks he can outbox like a long boxer or something like that. But I mean, I don't know. Like you said, it's Vernon Paris, whatever. But I was impressed with that dude, and I can't wait to see him more. I hope he fights more, man. I'm tired of him coming in and out of the ring. Every time you see him, you get impressed by him, and then he disappears for a year and a half.
Well, I feel differently than you guys. I think that Gomez, he looked good, but there were still, of course, some mistakes that he was making. He was kind of wide. He was squaring up, but he's just so strong, especially in comparison.
See, I took that more of him taking a risk to kind of want to get the reward from Paris.
That's the way he fights. I just think he's a blood and guts warrior at heart, and you know, he does have decent technical abilities, but he will abort those abilities because he wants to use his aggression, his size, and his strength and his power.
You know, so, I think he does have power, but it's not the one knockout power that I think he has.
But
that could be another issue, like kind of Ness brought up, is that he's going to be wide. Sometimes he might want to get into a slugfest, think he's going to knock the dude out, when realistically at this level, he just has an average power punch at the elite level. So, I mean, you know, a lot of fighters come up and they get hyped and they got power and they're knocking people out or they're fucking people up in sparring or whatever like that, and they buy into their own hype too much. They don't know what true power is until they either get hit by true power, or the guy stays in front of him and doesn't do shit. So
I think what Ness is kind of alluding to is if he faces different opposition or better opposition, he may have to go to a plan B, and he hasn't shown us a plan B yet. But maybe he hasn't needed to do that right now. But with that being said, we don't know if he has a plan B. We don't know if he could fight any other way, because he seems to be fighting the same type of way, and it's been successful for him. But will someone make him have to fight outside the envelope a little bit? And if they do, how will he respond to that? And I think that's what Ness is kind of alluding to, looking ahead. for this.
His plan, moving up though, his plan B is going to have to be how tough he is. He's going to have to prove how tough he is with that fighting style and the way he's going to probably wind up getting in exchanges. He's going to have to show a chin and just show true grit, man. So we'll see quickly if he's got that extra gear like you were talking that Paris doesn't have. To be a champion, man, you're going to be down in some fights, but you need that extra gear to kind of push through that second win halfway through the fight.
Exactly.
See?
Speaking of extra gear, I feel the same. I agree with Beeb. I don't think that Paris unfolds. I think that he, I guess, ceilings out, if that's even a term. I know the term.
He becomes complacent. He understands. He understands how the fight's going.
He bottoms out, is what you're trying to say.
Well, actually, because I don't think that he's going down. I think that he's I guess a version of a 5-speed automatic, 5-speed manual car, and once he's in 5th, well, actually, he only gets to 3rd. And look, that's not bad.
That's what I'm saying. He doesn't have that. Doesn't have that high octane type gear.
If you want to compare him to a 5-speed manual, man, he's gonna be like a fucking Nissan Sentra or something like that. He ain't no Porsche Ferrari.
I'm not even thinking in terms of engine, because this is the thing. The analogy that I'm trying to use is when he gets to 3rd, like, he just can't get past that.
That's what I'm saying.
Not get past that, because yesterday, I seen him trying. He dug down deep. See, I'm gonna give him credit for this loss because he dug down deep. There was times when Frankie Gomez would dart in and he would just bite down and throw 2 body shots to the body, kind of like uppercuts. But he was allowing himself to be manhandled. Frankie Gomez.
I never said he wasn't trying. I just think that he doesn't have it when he tries to, is what I'm saying.
No, and I totally agree. We're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of disappointed in Paris, man, because every time we all know, the stabbings and the shootings and the lack of being in the ring, and then he gets the opportunity always, and it's always on TV that he gets his opportunity, and he shits the bed, man. He shits the bed, and I don't want to call him a bum because he looked good versus Tim Coleman, but in the Zab fight, he just seemed like a guy that wasn't on that level, and now versus a fucking prospect.
Can I ask you a question? Do you think the Zab fight ruined him?
No, I don't think
so. I think that's who he is.
Ruined him. I think the Zab fight just exposed what he is. He's whatever letter grade you want to give him.
I think he's above a club fighter. He's above a club fighter, but he's not quite a prospect or a contender or anything like that. Would you consider him a gatekeeper? I don't even know if I would give him that.
He's a couple steps away from one.
Yeah, but I just think he lacks the actual wins against credible opponents or high level opponents for me to take him as a. When you think of a gatekeeper, I think of people like Kendall Holt, DeMarcus
I'm thinking of journeyman.
Like that.
I'm thinking of it, and I hate to put it blunt like that, but he's close to becoming a journeyman. And again, this is not to disrespect the man. I mean, he just may become that opponent that will be that test for people. Someone half decent to see if they can go to that next level. So, journeyman, gatekeeper, I guess all those words are applicable to a degree, but at the end of the day, he's not gonna really go above where he's at right now, in my opinion. And that sounds harsh, and I hope I'm wrong, but that's just the way it looks right now, given the evidence, given the empirical data that we have put in front of us.
And I think Paris is good enough. I think Paris is good enough right now that if there was like an upcoming prospect that was kind of questionable, maybe he's not as good as everyone says he is. I think Paris could give him some issues. I mean, he might not win the fight because I still don't think that he's on that level. But I don't know. But yeah, you know what I'm trying to say.
It's tough, and I'm hoping I'm wrong.
James, you just said that you think Paris is the type of guy that can answer some questions for an upcoming prospect that everybody think is good. I mean,
no, I'm not talking prospect like 22.
That was Frankie Gomez Saturday.
But that was Frankie Gomez. Frankie Gomez is a dude with all this fucking hype. He's trained by Freddie Roach, but he lacks discipline and clearly technique. I mean, he's like. I don't know. Is his mentor fucking Alfredo Angulo?
You think he lacked technique? I thought what he was trying to do. I think he looked technically sound. He was pivoting hips the way he needs to when he was fucking throwing hooks and shit like that.
He turns into his shots.
He's not slick. Don't confuse slick with not being technically sound. Just because he's not slick doesn't mean he's not technically sound.
He's not throwing arm punches in there. By no means.
For me, I don't appreciate that. I mean, like if I was a captain and I had to pick between the two, I would still pick Paris. I swear, because Gomez doesn't even use a jab. Gomez was taking a minute off of the round. Like he would do work then back up, do work then back up.
That's because his cardio is probably not quite there, man. He's throwing hard-ass shots in there. That's going to tire you out.
I'm judging him on yesterday. I'm not judging him on is he going to get better, I'm judging his performance on yesterday, and he got the win. He looked okay.
The way you're saying it, though, the way you're trying to make it sound, though, it makes it sound like you're trying to say he squeaked by with this win. He was in control of this fight from start to end.
I had it 100-89. I didn't give Paris not one round. I couldn't find one.
I don't think those rounds were too competitive either, so I don't know.
I think Ness is just looking ahead. He's looking ahead, and he's saying to himself, this isn't going to work against everybody.
But see, that's the problem. We got to let people grow, man. I mean, I've had that issue in the past, too, so I guess I sound like a hypocrite where I've judged performances of prospects. But you got to let people grow in the ring. This is his first real step up, man. He's got to get the tires going, you know what I mean? He's got to feel the wheel. He's got to see what's going on in there. You just can't.
I don't know.
You feel like, if he gets in there with Pacquiao, he's going to be iced out. Whatever, dude. You know what I mean? Like, just roll with the punches and see where he goes. I don't think he's that bad, though.
I think James, because he's a trainer now, he's starting to get a soft fucking heart. So, let's go on over to Showbox. Over in Vernon, New York, Antoine Douglas was headlining versus Mike Soro, and Jerry Odom versus Wilder Quinones, and Tony Lewis versus Wenzel Ellison. I want to talk about this. I hope you guys watch this. You watch this?
Yeah.
I like Tony Lewis, man. Every time I see that dude on Showbox, he's just a fun fighter.
Awesome.
I was surprised with Quinones because I thought he was going to win.
First off, I think the story of that night is Odom's mom, man, screaming the entire time. I don't know if you noticed this, but the crowd behind him was more focused on his mom screaming and yelling crazy shit than the fucking fight itself. They kept zooming. Like, I just couldn't get my eyes off that lady, man. She was entertainment.
And the ref really made a bad call. The ref really made a bad call with that headbutt. That was not a punch. That was a headbutt.
Yeah. That happens, though, when you guys take a few seconds. I wish they just had instant replay in boxing. This is another thing that I wish they had. I don't see why someone from a camera truck can't be like, yo, just to let you know, this is a headbutt, and then they make the right decision. I'd rather be replay than not make the right, or I'd rather be replay and make the right decision and kind of stall the action than to not have the fucking right decision. Because little things like that, if it doesn't happen in this fight, it could be a big difference in another fight. We need to correct these fucking issues when they come up, not just ignore them and be like, well, this case it doesn't really matter because whatever, you still won.
Well, I actually wanted to start from the bottom up because Wenzel Ellison was from Newark, New Jersey, and that's my hometown. And I've heard of the gym of Dewdrop's gym. It's across town on Chancellor Avenue, whatever. But
is Dewdrop that dude's real name?
That's what he goes by.
Oh, okay. I was like, that's a crazy.
But he was given the proper instruction. Wenzel, Wenzel, he was trying to prove something, and it really sucks because these are the type of guys that we need to back. Dudes that their last fight was at 126, and for an opportunity for exposure, you take a 135-pound fight. I always felt that was going to be a problem. You guys know I'm against dudes jumping up like that. I'd rather them gradually step into the weight. So, he took this huge step up. But not only in weight, in class, because while Tony Lewis hasn't done anything, he's at least been in the ring with decent opposition. Man, Wenzel, he's pretty good if he gets trained properly. I don't think that they're training him good. I mean, they were given the right instruction in the corner, but it's not translating in the ring. He was very tense and tight. Like, he wouldn't even extend his punches, but he had good movement. He had good height. Like, he can actually fill into that division well, but you see that his power didn't carry up. And Lewis, I think Lewis was very effective. His body work from the beginning was just tremendous, but he's so limited. And Wenzel could have won this fight if he would have probably stuck to the game plan. I know and understand that he didn't have anything on his punches to keep Lewis from coming forward. But towards the end of that towards the end of the second half of that fight, he was gassing on his zone. So on top of not really having much of a game plan besides coming forward, he was taking time off, and that's when Wenzel could have shined, which he did, win a couple of rounds or whatever. But I don't know. What do you guys think of that fight? It was pretty crap.
Well, the way Ellison fought is it seemed like to me that he's used to bullying the other opponents. Like he became very complacent on wanting to try to box from the outside, and I feel like the way he was kind of throwing punches and the way he was kind of like I guess not, I don't want to say running, but circling out. It seemed like he was used to bullying people, and he wasn't able to bully Tony as much as he used to in the past. So I don't know, man. I don't think he's that good, to be honest with you. You're pretty hyped up on him, maybe because he's from Newark, man. But I didn't think he did that well.
No. I'm not hyped at all. Like I'm just praising. I'm praising a kid that's 11-0. That they made clear that the people he was fighting was losing records, and only had 5 knockouts at 126, and took on a fight at 135 versus Tony Lewis. Tony Lewis is
Well, can I ask you this? Do you think he was getting discouraged in there because he really couldn't have his way with Lewis? He couldn't hurt him, couldn't stop him.
That's my point. He's used to doing that. He's used to being the aggressor, but when he wasn't the aggressor, I don't want to say he didn't want to know what to do, but he just didn't like it. He was uncomfortable. There you go. That's the term.
Psychologically, he was taken out of the fight, in other words.
Yeah, but not in the sense that I think that he kind of conceded to Tony, but I think necessarily he was like trying to, like, the entire time trying to figure him out. He just
I thought he looked frustrated. I thought he looked frustrated.
Maybe, but I don't think that was necessarily the case. Well, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm flipping. I'm talking Republican flip-flopper, but I'm good with that.
He frustrated.
Moved up towards the end of the fight. Like, he did a lot better in the second half than he did in the first half. But the scores were all over the place anyway. But it was a decent scrap. And no, James, I'm not in a hurry to see him again. Jerry Odom and Quinones. What was your take on this one?
I thought Quinones looked very good when he had the distance. He fought very well from the outside. But this kid Odom, the body work was incredible. The keep coming forward, the mentality of, you know what, no matter what, I'm gonna keep taking it to this kid. I'm gonna weather the storm and I'm gonna wear him down. And I think that was the game plan. The game plan was to walk him down, close the distance, and really just take the body away from him, take the legs away from him, to stop him from creating space. And because he knew that he was at a little bit of a speed disadvantage from the outside, so he had to combat that with making the fight an up close and personal type fight, in your chest type affair. And he did very well shortening up shots, bending the knees and digging in and making those shots count. He made those shots count. Now, early on he wasn't landing a lot of them, but when he did land, he made sure they counted, and they had an effect. They had a residual effect on Quinones, and you could see him start to slow down a little bit. You could see him start to not move as much. You could see his punches weren't as crisp, and Odom had something to do with that. So this kid, we talked about digging down deep. This kid was losing. I thought the fight was turning in Quinones' way, and this kid took the play away from Quinones, and he got the job done very impressively.
I definitely think that Odom was out of the fight he was losing most of the fight, but I definitely don't think he was out of the fight. He just kept.
No, he wasn't out of it, but you can see it slipping. It was slipping from him.
I like that they kept exchanging with each other and they kept rocking each other, man. So it's kind of like one of those on the edge of your seats, like, hey, Odom could have just as well been knocked out if he didn't have that extra gear, like we keep talking about. He stayed in there, but I thought it was a good fight. I enjoyed it a lot, actually.
What were you gonna say, Ness?
I enjoyed the fight too, and I'll keep it quick so we can get on to the next fight, because I thought Odom was a bit basic, and I just feel that the true story here is that sometimes Not often, but sometimes determination and sheer will can
Exactly.
outweigh skill, because Jones was the Cuban fighter with 350 amateur fights. He was the guy that was supposed to be able to win this fight, and he did not. But let's get to the main event. This one ended in a draw. Action Douglas versus Sorrow. What did you guys think of this?
This one I did not see, so B, this is going to you, brother.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know too much about these guys, so it was just hard because I don't know. It's one of them fights where there wasn't a ton of action. You know what I mean? I think both guys were trying to figure each other out, and I was just waiting for someone to take the play from the other guy, and it just didn't happen. So I don't know who was the favorite in this fight, because I don't really know these guys. I didn't know these guys.
Well,
I'm sure Douglas would have been. Douglas is the up-and-coming guy.
Douglas is supposed to be the favorite. He had about 3 fights on ESPN. He did those in knockouts. He's fought off TV as well, but you know, all limited opposition. But he was definitely the guy that was supposed to be taking this fight. I can't comment on this one because this is where I passed out. The DVR was on overload, and we still got to talk ESPN. So if anybody,
I thought it was very uneventful. That's what I'm saying. So I don't know, man. I think the draw was the right decision. You know.
Well, we're gonna move on from that snooze fest because there was definitely some action on ESPN.
Yes.
But if anybody wants to call in and talk any of these fights, and of course Gennady Golovkin, which we'll get into after ESPN, it's 646-478-3068. Press 1 to speak to any of the hosts. We seen on ESPN Caleb Truax defeating Derek Ennis. Now, man, let's keep this short and sweet. I don't know what to say about Truax. He's kind of like coming to his ceiling. I don't want to say that because maybe he fought down to the level of opposition, and you know he did have a really good spirited effort against Jermaine Taylor, but Truax didn't really impress me here. While he was the only one who was impressive, Ennis is just gun shy. And he really doesn't have a game plan. He wasn't listening to his father at all. And I think the right guy got the decision here.
Well, I think Derek Ennis, you know, you can say what you want about the guy, but he's very crafty. And the thing I like about Truax is just a very fluid combination puncher. He's very solid. I'm going to say the same thing about Jennings later that I'm going to say about Truax because there's a lot of comparisons there. Truax doesn't have that crushing power, but he has that power that can get your attention. And the thing about Truax is I just think he doesn't have anything spectacular, but I think he's solid all around. I really like his punch selection. I don't think he wastes punches in there. I think he's very versatile. He sets punches up with the jab, but he's not predictable. He's not typically conventional. I think he can do a lot of things. I just don't think that he can do anything exceptional. And I think that he could hold his own against a lot of guys. And he's big. He looks bigger every time I see him. So he's durable. And obviously he didn't fight a huge guy. But Derek Ennis, even though he was the smaller man in there, he looked fit. He looked muscular. He looked like a guy that was pretty solid physically. And he wasn't going anywhere. He was hanging in there with Truax. You got to give him credit for that. Truax didn't really do anything wrong. It's just that, he was landing punches. He was being aggressive. He was putting combinations together. He was working hard, but there was just nothing he could do that could really put the finishing touches on Ennis. So I guess if there's one thing you could criticize Truax about is he's not a great finisher, whether that be because if it's an issue with his power, or I don't think it's an issue of killer instinct, because I think he goes in there and he has the right mental approach to the fight. He's a seek and destroy guy when he has his opponent hurt. I think he goes after people when they're hurt, excuse me. But I just don't think that he has that, next level type power that's going to get these guys out of there. And I think that's the problem. I think if there's one knock on him, is that he really can't take guys out. He can't finish guys when he has them hurt. And that's what I saw against Derek Ennis, because he was hurting Derek Ennis all night, but he just couldn't get him out. And that's...
See,
Go ahead.
I didn't see any of these Friday night fights, to be honest with you. But after, I'm reading the headlines and shit like that, you see that Caleb Truax is now being mentioned in the talks of getting a Peter Quillen shot. When you guys saw this, did you guys think that he could last in Peter Quillen, or is he ready for that kind of title shot? Do you think that he's just...
I think he is.
You think so?
I think he is. Yeah, I do. Because I think he's a decent inside fighter, and I think anyone that can fight inside is going to be problems for Quillen. And I like I said, I think he has decent speed. I think he has decent power, but there's just nothing exceptional about the guy. Like the one weakness I can see in him is he's just not an, like I said, I hate to beat the dead horse, but he's not an exceptional finisher. But he lands a lot of punches. He's got a sneaky right hand. He's got a real sneaky right hand. It's like a dart when he throws it. Works well behind the jab. When he gets inside, he works. He doesn't just look to lay on you in there. He works.
There's one thing that we know is that sneaky right hands fucking work well against slick lefties. So
yeah.
Well,
i.e. Quillen.
I, on the other hand, don't think that he works as much as Bieber's giving him credit for. Had that been the case, he should have dominated Ennis to be in any talks for a major title. Now, I know, listen, I was having this conversation with Sev yesterday because he was here, we were watching the fights. Now you guys, titles, they don't mean shit. Yes, they do. Stop allowing media or whoever to tell you that they don't, because guess what? As much as we don't respect titles, they always come into play. So we might as well back the sanctioning bodies and hold them to a high standard so that we can continue to get Lomachenko Russells and Laura Vanez's and things of that nature, because if we don't believe in the sanctioning body and they do whatever they want, then we won't get the purse bids. That's the only fucking, I don't know, stroke of luck that we have when it comes to seeing Golden Boy versus Top Rank or any feuding promoter, period.
See, I don't necessarily agree with that fully, because I mean that same sanctioning body would be okay with a Daniel Jacobs, but they're not going to be okay with a Caleb Truax.
Now that's
like assuming fucking Curtis Stevens get past and damn, I'd be okay with the Curtis Stevens fight. I definitely think that out of all those three, I'd rather that fucking fight. I would almost be okay with if Ndam beats Stevens, I'd be okay with an Ndam versus Quillen fight again. I mean, that was a close fight other than the fucking 18 knockdowns.
James, what I'm saying is this. If that's how you feel, they have a Twitter, they have a website. You're a writer, write a fucking article. And for the fans, tweet them, email them, make them do what they have to do, because they matter. The titles matter, because guess what? Jacobs is going to get a title shot as soon as he beats Fletcher. Now, why does he want to be the interim WBA with knowing that Gennady is the real champ? He's a fucking weirdo, crazy dude for wanting that fight. And he doesn't want it. He just wants to have an interim title, I guess, because he does not want a Golovkin fight.
I think titles mean something to fighters because it's a way they can make money. But I think the fans know who the true champions are.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we as fans and media need to legitimize the titles so that we can hold them to a certain standard, because now if we embrace them, the listeners, the fans, the readers, they start to find out more about these sanctioning bodies. So they become scrutinized now because they're in the public eye. Now, listen, the IBF isn't bad. Compare them only in this category, making their fights. We're getting Porter Brook because of the IBF. The WBC isn't all bad. Remember, they're the ones that did the next day weigh-in or the day before weigh-in instead of the day of. Like, they are good in certain things. Do they do bullshit every now and then, like suspend Broner for cursing or, making somebody emeritus champion? Yes, but that's when we need to attack them. And if they feel that attack consistently, then these titles can be legitimized, because guess what? These fighters love the titles. They love it. Not only a financial gain that they get from being a champion, but it's the stardom, the different exposure. Like, look at Chris Algieri. If that wasn't a title shot, would he be all over ESPN and all over fucking everywhere? No.
While I agree with what you're saying about the legitimacy of the fucking titles, the problem is, do you want to start that? You need to get rid of 15 different versions of one fucking title. You need to get rid of having 100 different fucking champions. One that is 17-0 and the other one that's 31-0. I'm tired of the gold, silver, diamond, North American, platinum, fucking whatever you want to do. That's what I'm saying. Is like, if you want to do that, you got to get rid of the belts. You can't have. That's like saying I have the best car on the block, but everyone has the same fucking car as you. You don't have the best car on the block. You have the same fucking car. So if you want to do that, you got to get rid of the 13 versions, man. You got to make one title for the WBC, and they fight for that. So it means something. So there's actual value behind the title itself. Not the fact that you're a world champion and you beat some dude I don't know. But while it sounds like I'm shitting on the fucking sanctioning bodies, the WBC did something great with Danny Garcia. They're not sanctioning the Silka fight. If he loses the Silka fight, he vacates the title. Silka can't win the title because it's not up for grabs. But if Garcia loses this fight, which I doubt obviously he will, that title's now, all those titles are vacated, assuming he, other than the lineal champion or the Ring Magazine.
James,
so I like that, but
I don't get how this is going over your head. Like,
I don't get how you don't understand. There's 15 different titles. There's 3 different versions. That's why Canelo didn't even want to fight for the Lara.
Let me ask you a series of questions, okay?
Go ahead.
How many tweets have you sent any of the sanctioning bodies?
None, man. I'll be honest.
How many emails?
How many tweets have you sent?
How many emails?
None. Have you sent any emails?
How many articles have you written about how bad or what could be done to any of the sanctioning bodies?
Well, none. But what about you? You're sitting here telling me the sanctioning bodies need to be legitimized, but you're not doing the same shit.
Wait a minute. I'm gonna put a kibosh to this whole argument. This is your forum right now on the show, right?
Yeah.
You're using your forum you're using the show as your forum right now. You're talking about it right now. That's a step in the right direction.
There you go, Ness. We've got my back.
Action has to be taken, okay? It has to be taken, and in any movement, someone protests, someone does something. There's some sort of proactive something, but you know, just talking about it isn't gonna do it. And what I'm saying, if more people do start talking about it, if all the listeners do tweet these sanctioning bodies, they listen. Showtime,
I think
clearly, look, Espinoza listens. They listen. Why do you think all these corporations have a Twitter? They're not.
Well, let me just say this though. They did listen because a lot of people were bitching about the soccer fight, and then they didn't sanction it as a championship fight, so they did listen. Bitching does work sometimes.
And I'm not saying you shouldn't go out there and fucking. I'm not saying you shouldn't go out there and have yourself a voice. But what I'm telling you is, if you want to legitimize these titles, you got to make them fucking. You got to make them very special. Right now, they're not that special. Everyone has a title. Everyone. You go to a club fight, it's some NABF Latin.
He's right, Ness. I'm sorry. He's right.
Gold, purple, green belt, Pokemon belt, whatever the fuck you want to give them.
You're not doing anything, then you don't even have a fucking voice.
You don't have a voice.
He's talking about it right now.
You're telling me to do the same shit.
He's talking about it on a show that thousands of people are going to hear.
Listen, I've always been
step in the right direction. Give him credit for saying
it. Body, you could go back and check the tape. You've always heard me speak highly about the IBF. You know,
you could speak highly, but you got to criticize when they do wrong too. You got to call.
Yeah, like when they took fucking bribes years back. Remember all that? The IBF hasn't perfect himself. People change though.
You guys are not getting the point. You're trying to belittle these sanctioning bodies as if you're winning the argument. No, I'm not telling you that they're good. I'm telling you that they're flawed. But because the casual fan and the fucking fighter hold them in high regard, you as media, them as fans need to hold them at a higher standard so that they can be scrutinized because they're in the public eye now. And
they catch a lot of heat. They catch a lot of heat from people.
Listen, ask any casual fan. Ask any casual fan. Name one title. They can't do it. All they're going to say is he's the world welterweight champion. They're not going to be like, oh, he's the WBC gold welterweight champion. They hold titles, yes. When they hear someone has a title, I'm not shitting on I'm not sitting here. The way you're, like, I guess, coming at me is it sounds like I'm sitting here shitting on the fucking, on the sanctioning bodies. I'm not. What I'm saying is if you want to legitimize these, we can't have so many of them. I mean, we got to keep moving on because we're going to keep going in circles, but I'm just saying.
Absolutely.
But it's like anything else. When someone does something good, you give them credit. When they do something bad, you let them know about it. It's like you got to call it the way you see it. And there are too many titles. Do they do everything bad? No, but they do things bad, and we point it out. That's all. It doesn't have to be so black and white. Just call it like you see it. When they do good, you give them credit. When they do bad, just say, give your opinion. You have a right. Anyone has a right to give their opinion.
Real quick, Ness, before you take it out to the street, before I forget about doing this later, anyone who watched Unimas last night, man, I just want to give a quick shout out to my boy Emmanuel Nuevis, who fucking just dominated, or he lost the first round, but he fucking, it was so exciting, man. I was so excited to be there. If anyone saw it, shout out to them. I know they listen every once in a while. You do hard work in the fucking camp. You got reward. I'm proud of you, brother.
I want to shout out Robert Palmer real quick for doing the updated rankings for August, and I want to let everyone know that after the show, I'm going to be putting the new rankings on the app and putting new rankings on the site. So thank you, Robert, for doing that, and they will be up very shortly.
All right.
Guys, you need show, you need amazing show, just call me. I'm stay here. I'm ready for everybody.
702, you're live.
Hello. This is Robert Ortiz. Yeah. So I just wanted to say a couple things here on everything. Starting, I guess we'll start with the heavyweights. I didn't see a fucking thing special there, man. And my friend texted me and he said, "I just want the Klitschko's to go away. It'll make everything more interesting." And honestly, as much as we're all tired of the Klitschko's, I kind of don't want them to go away, because I don't want some fucking imposter to come in and get a bullshit title like Stavern, because it's meaningless to me. Like you guys just talked about the belts and whether they mean something or not. It's something to chase, sure, but in this case, that belt don't mean shit, dude. Vladimir's not someone that means anything.
That belt
last night.
No. That belt absolutely means something, because that belt was vacated by a champion who defended it numerous times.
Look at Ness defending his sanctioning body argument.
It was vacated by a champion, sure. But did Vladimir get a shot at it? Why the fuck did he not get a shot at it?
Because he wasn't ranked. Wait a minute. See, this is the problem, that people take shots at the fucking sanctioning bodies without even knowing anything about it. Because he wasn't ranked, because he swore to never fight his brother. So how are you going to be ranked in that sanctioning body?
You can't be ranked if you're already a champion in another organization. So it's just the way it is.
Yep.
Okay, but that's fine. Okay, that paper title, fine. But in terms of really being the champion, come on. Obviously, we know who the guy is. But the point I was making was that these two guys last night, I've never been on Bryant Jennings' bandwagon. I don't understand the kind of, I mean, not to say that he's super hyped, but I've never understood, the excitement about him. I haven't really been into him very much. He showed a couple things. I don't like his style, though. I don't think either of those two guys showed that they're going to beat Vladimir, or even Stavern, actually. I don't think those guys could even beat Stavern, who the other supposed title holder is. So I was a little disappointed. It was a decent scrap. It was okay to watch. But when you think about heavyweights, you think about who's going to take the throne automatically. That's the first thing I always think of.
I disagree. I'm optimistic. I know full and well that Jennings didn't look good, but he had a horrible dance partner. Perez.
Exactly.
Perez was holding all night. He was a fucking fat, out of fucking way, fake Ireland dude. I don't even know what he was doing, okay? Besides a 1-2 down the middle. I mean, if people that called in and complained about Laura will complain about this guy, because unlike Laura, when Laura allegedly ran, Perez held. And all that Laura did, what you said, was a 1-2, Perez did the same shit. Jennings was fighting in combinations, but every single time, listen, I'm not even going to lie for this motherfucker either, because there was plenty of times when he could have went to the body in some of those clinches and he just wouldn't let his hands go. I was yelling at the TV all night. But I'm not going to say that this is the end of the road for Jennings. I think that a fight with him and Stavern is intriguing. And while I don't believe that he's ready for Vladimir Klitschko, I think that if he continues to win, this level of opposition, you know, the Perez's, the Severns, the Deontay Wilders, the Chris Ariolas of the world, yeah, I think that he could do some serious damage to Vladimir Klitschko because of his athleticism and his agility, and he clearly has some decent pop.
Keep in mind that he's 19-0 and only had 15 amateur fights as well, so he has time to grow. Perez is a decent opponent to get in there. And I had Jennings. I didn't even. I don't agree with the majority decision or the split decision. I had Jennings up 17 or 7 points, 117-110. So I mean, I thought he handled himself well in there. I thought Perez did better than what I thought he would do, to be honest with you. And I don't. And when you said you don't think that Jennings is necessarily done, I don't think Perez is necessarily done either. I just think it was a good fight.
Perez is a really tough guy to look good against, like Ness said. And
he was out of shape and it showed, though. He was out of shape and it showed.
One thing that was being overlooked, one thing Perez continuously did throughout the course of that fight was he was sticking his head, right?
Yeah. Shoulder.
Hitting with his head, sticking his head. Right in Jennings' face. He was leading with his head. It was intentional. And then people were complaining when the ref took a point away. But he was doing it all night, doing the Victor Ortiz move with his head.
No, but when the ref
away for hitting off the break.
Point away when the ref
hitting on the break. Yeah, hitting on the break.
It was warranted because he fucking hit on the hole, on the break.
I agree. And you know what? The one thing you can say about Jennings that you may be able to criticize him about was, I'm going to say this. I think that people were very hard on Jennings, particularly the announcers last night, saying he was basic, saying he was very simplistic in what he did in there, not too many bells and whistles. But, you know, he had some difficulties when the fight was on the outside because, let's make no mistake about it, Perez is pretty decent with hand speed for his size. But, you know, when he shortened up the gap, he knew up close that he could do better. He was getting off first up close. He was squeezing off really sharp, crisp combinations of the inside. The one knock I have on the guy is he doesn't seem to punch with bad intentions. He's just looking to land shots to score points. I think if he bent his knees a little bit more, gritted his teeth a little bit more, I think he could do more damage in there. I think he's just looking to win.
Another point that needs to be brought up is
I haven't gone on his bandwagon. That'll be the biggest thing for me is that I do not like fighters who don't commit to their punches,
exactly.
And Brian Jennings does, and that's a big problem to me, especially against the big motherfuckers of the division. I just don't see it. I mean, you guys have swayed me a little bit here with your arguments. You're all pretty much on the same page. So I'll take a look at it again and see if there's some stuff there.
He did some good work in spots, though, Robert. He did some real good work.
Sometimes ugly fights happen.
Robert,
combination punching. I mean, he was landing at times like
he had very little space to throw some of these shots, and he was turning over those left hooks. Sharp and crispy.
I think he didn't take advantage of it.
Going to the body, he was varying up, throwing lead right hands, coming back with hooks. And then this broadcast team was saying, oh, he's just doing the same thing over. He's very responsible defensively, keeps a high guard, jumps back just enough to get out of range. There's a lot of good things he does well in there. And factoring in, as James said, being able to do what he does with such limited experience on the amateur level, I think if you look at it in terms of that aspect, he's light years ahead of where he's supposed to be.
See, the problems I saw with Jennings most strikingly last night was, one, he likes to pull his jab out, and if you got someone that has a better jab than you or a jab similar to yours,
that goes back to committing. Yeah, that goes back to committing to punches. He's got to commit to what he's doing in there. He's got to stop saying to himself, I'm just going to try and score these punches. He's got to punch every now and then with bad intentions to get his opponent's attention. He landed some crisp shots in there, but you could see that there was no meanness to him in there. There was no, he was just like, pop, 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 and then that started over again. He needed to really sit down and grit his teeth and punch with some bad intentions on occasion, and he would have got this guy, could have hurt this guy. He wobbled him, and he looked like he was going to knock him down, but he didn't really take advantage of that. And that's the thing. He's got to work on his killer instinct. That's the one thing he has to work on. And once he starts getting more confident, once he gets more experience, I can see that developing and getting better. So I see an upside to this guy. I really do.
I get that, but what you guys were talking about the spacing earlier when you were saying he was coming in and out.
lush shots, man. He landed some great hooks. Or I can't quite remember the shots, but I remember seeing like, damn, I thought he might go down. But Perez didn't even really seem that bothered by the punch, other than, damn, you really got me. It was clean, so he obviously got.
Perez is durable too, though. He's a durable guy. He took some huge shots from Abdulzamov. So let's not just think of Perez. You look at Perez physically, and with all due respect, it's not a bodybuilding contest, but Perez is 6'1". He looks like he could even be a cruiserweight if he really decided to commit to getting in shape. You look at Perez and you say to yourself, this guy's not a world-class fighter. But you know what? Perez is a very skilled guy. He's very awkward. He's very quick for his size. He's just not in shape. So it's hard to take him serious sometimes if you're just looking at him from an aesthetic standpoint. He doesn't look like a fighter. So I think people tend to look at Perez like that, and they look at Jennings. They see this guy Jennings, who's the epitome of what a boxer should look like, going up against a guy like Perez, who looks nothing close to what a boxer should look like. Again, I'm not dumping on the guy. It's not a bodybuilding contest. But I think that plays a little factor in how people perceive how this fight is supposed to go. And then people were expecting Jennings to just walk through this guy. A lot of people thought Jennings would handle this guy overwhelmingly. It would be an easy fight for him. But I just think Perez is a decent fighter. He's solid. He's awkward. He's tough to look good against. And he does those subtle things in there. I'm not going to say, well, I am going to say it. He does a lot of dirty stuff in there to disrupt what you're doing in there. And if the ref doesn't take a hold of that, he's going to lose control of the fight. The fight's going to get ugly. Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, I just feel like after seeing Perez in the last couple fights, that he's been getting on the bigger stage and whatever. I just seen him. I don't know. I'm pretty underwhelmed by him. I don't think he's that great. I get everything you're saying in terms of like, let's not shit on him. But it's the same way I look at it as a prospect. Like, oh, there's some stuff to work on it. Well,
exactly.
They're beyond prospect level now. So I'm starting to look for guys that are going to challenge to the throne, and I don't see it. And that's the problem I have with it. And
Rob, you know what, Robert? I'm going to say one thing. Everything you're saying right now has some validity to it. You're making excellent points. I think what Ness and myself are trying to say, and I don't want to speak for Ness, but I think we're trying to say, don't close the book just yet. You know what I'm saying? There was enough good things that I saw last night that showed me that there's some potential there, and improvements can be made. I like how he's patient. That's one good thing I like. I like how he's wide-eyed in there. He's very alert, and you could see him analyzing. You could see him focused. You could see him kind of processing things, collecting the data. He has that cerebral way about him in the ring, and I like that about him.
See, I guess I'm going to disagree with you right there. I'm going to disagree with you. I don't think his patience was necessarily patience in the fact that he was looking for the right shot. You guys brought up the fact that earlier you guys said that you thought his spacing was good. To me, it seemed like if you go back and watch that fight, most of the fight he was in the pocket with Perez. They were just sitting there in the pocket at arm's length. That's why Jennings was able to keep pulling that jab out and then come after him. But what I saw was a man that was trying to counterpunch Perez every time he came in, but just couldn't get it off. He needs to take advantage when he's in the pocket. He's the longer guy. He needed to be throwing shots, and that's not what he was doing. But again, I always get talked for being salty and shit like that. But what I'm saying is that he needs to work on some shit. I don't want to close the book on either, because I think that Perez can come back and definitely give some other people fights. I definitely think he can come back and give Wilder some issues. If you don't think so, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, but I don't think that Perez did necessarily that bad to say he's like a bum. I definitely think that he could be in the conversations with other fighters, and I want to see him again. I think both fighters are good. I think Jennings was just a little bit better last night, and I don't think they're world beaters, but I definitely like what I saw.
But James, you have to give a guy credit for trying. You have to give a guy credit for trying to fight on the outside, making the initial attempt to do that.
He wasn't on the outside though. He was in the pocket. He wasn't on the outside.
He was trying to fight from a distance in the beginning of the fight when he was losing rounds, and he realized that wasn't working. Give him credit for switching up and making the adjustment and going to plan B and getting up close. I saw a lot. Again, I'm not on the payroll. I'm not the PR guy for the Jennings camp. Trust me, I'm not. But I'm just trying to point out these things that I saw. I love when guys make adjustments. I love when guys are still poker-faced in there when it's not going well for them. And I saw some good qualities mentally in Bennings last night that I really, really liked.
I'll agree with that.
And that's a good foundation to work off of. If he just develops a little bit of a killer instinct, I would love this guy.
I've been burning up a lot of time so we can get some other callers. I wanted to put in my quick take on the main event, Golovkin. I liked everything I saw, man, and I'm starting to wonder because, as much as I'm not that much a big fan of Rigondeaux, he's pretty damn up there in terms of, pound for pound, what you look at him and everything. But he's beaten one A-level fighter and a handful of C's, and that's about it. And at this point, Golovkin has beaten every C and B level middleweight. He didn't get a chance to take on the one A-level middleweight that was left because Cotto took him out. But to me, this dude, he has it all, man. I like everything I saw, everything. And, what we found out in the last fight not his last fight, but the one with Stevens, was that he has a chin. The fact that he knocked this dude down while he was getting hit a lot more flush and was countered perfectly with the slip jab and the right hand over the top, it was beautiful what Daniel Geale did. And he was able to knock him down, getting hit backwards and flinging a random right hand. That's insane. That's ridiculous power. Everyone who gets in there with him does not want anything to do with him. But at this point, I'm ready to call him the man. I don't see Cotto getting in the ring with him. He's got big fucking balls. Cotto has some big fucking balls. But I don't see it happening. I don't see him taking that fight. It's so dangerous. If he does, I give him. He's in the Hall of Fame to me already, but just for taking a Golovkin fight, I already put him in the Hall of Fame, whether he gets his ass beat or not, because that's amazing. That's true guts, and that's a champion right there. But I don't see what else this guy can do. I mean, I don't want him to move up. He doesn't have to. But there's no one else there at 160. I liked everything I saw, but where does he go? What does he need now?
I would like to see the Cotto fight, man, to be honest with you. But like you said, man, at the moment Cotto beat Martinez, I still don't think Cotto's ever going to fight Golovkin. But like with the way Cotto fights and the way Golovkin fights, it would be just a good action-packed fight while it lasted. And the way that Miguel cuts, I mean, it's going to be more like Miguel Explodo, man. His face is going to be bleeding all over the fucking place in that fight. And I don't. Freddie Roach is a huge influence in that fight. Freddie Roach is he's a smart fighter, he's a smart trainer. I don't see them taking that fight. I see them going after Peter Quillen or Canelo before they ever go after Golovkin. What sucks is that Golovkin, we're going to want him to step up so bad that the more time passes, all we're going to keep hearing is Ward. I literally got a text today from a casual fan. He watches boxing from time to time. He watched the Golovkin fight last night, and he said, why doesn't he fight Ward? And I had to explain to him, but like, yo, listen, he doesn't want to move up, like he said last night. He wants to stay at 160, and the A's there don't want to fight him. Quillen wants to fight him. I don't think Quillen wants to fight Golovkin either. No one wants to fight this man.
This is the problem that again, Ness is gonna just gonna go off on me because he's gonna get mad. But they wanted to fight Froch at 168. That was thrown out there. They wanted to fight Chavez Jr. at 168. They should have never opened their mouths about 168 in the first place. Then no one would have ever brought Ward's name up. So I can understand why people want to say, why does Ward want to fight him? Why? Because it was mentioned. Ward was there. Ward heard his trainer say, I'll fight anyone from 154 to 175. They even said they would fight Hopkins if that fight was presented to them. So if they never said that, then you wouldn't be hearing about this Ward thing. So we don't want to move up. Now they're changing it to now, so they don't have to fight Ward. But they were just a couple of months ago talking about fighting Chavez Jr. at 168, talking about how they would fight Froch at 168. So that's their fault. So don't blame Ward. People are calling Ward the bully and this and that. He wants to fight smaller guys. But Hopkins used to fight junior middleweights when he was the middleweight champion. This has been going on for years. I can understand your point, Ness. You want him to stay at 160. I don't have any problem with you saying that. I don't have any problem with him staying at 160. I don't have any problem with him trying to clean out the division. I don't have any problem with him trying to unify. But his management team should have shut their mouths. They planted the seed. So that's why Ward is saying, I want to fight him.
Well, we need to also need to keep in mind that Gennady Golovkin is not a young dude. We're not looking at a 26-year-old man that's running through people. We're talking about a guy that's been fighting since he was little, 350-something amateur fights. Now he's 32 years old. We only got 4 years maybe left with this dude, so obviously he needs to be there. But to me, out of those 3 weight classes, junior middleweight, and super middleweight, there's only one fighter out there that gives Gennady Golovkin issues, and I think actually he might beat him. I think Andre Ward is the only fighter out there. So I get why Ward wants to fight him too, because Ward, Dawson came down to fight.
Exactly. But how bad does it look, James? I'll fight anyone from 154 to 175 except Andre Ward. What are people supposed to think? You're ducking the guy. You're avoiding that guy. You'll fight anyone but that guy. So for people to just call him out on that, that is there's no reason that we can't say that he's ducking Ward. If he'll fight anyone else from 154 to 175 except Andre Ward, what conclusion are we supposed to draw from that? The writing's on the wall.
I don't think he's ducking Ward, though. I don't think he's personally ducking Ward. I think this is more of the situation like Mikey Garcia with Crawford. Like he's a class above, and yes, these two dudes are the number ones in their division. And if they fight, it's going to be an awesome fight. I don't think necessarily he's ducking Ward. I just don't think he's in a rush to get that fight. There's other fights out there. There's a bigger payday than Chavez.
It's not a money fight. The Chavez fight's more of a money fight. The Froch fight's more of a money fight. From a business standpoint, I understand that. But they should have never said that 154 to 175 statement, and they said it more than once. Go ahead, Ness. You got the floor.
Well, in their defense, ever since the Macklin post-fight press conference, video is everywhere. We even have the video. Lawfer always said that Gennady wasn't going to be fighting Andre Ward. It would be at least 2 years before they would do that.
I don't think Golovkin would deny a Ward fight, though, if it was presented to him.
Now, you know how I feel about moving up. He clearly wants to unify, and Max Kellerman is the one that was trying to lead him in the Cotto route. But he made it clear, Sam Solomon and Peter Quillen, like he wants to unify. HBO needs to do what they do and make the fight.
I like the Solomon fight, but I'd be disappointed if it wasn't Cotto next, to be honest with you.
Well, Rob, we're going to let you go because you've been on for like half an hour here.
Let Rob make his last point. Let Rob make his last point. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah. Well, this is two-part. The first thing is that I actually think that HBO did a fairly decent job with the broadcast as far as the Golovkin fight. It's a little easier when the guy's dick that you're sucking is doing everything right, so I guess that's cool. But
that's a good point.
What I'm going to say is that he didn't sell out Madison Square Garden. It's his first time in the big room, but he sold, I think they said, over 8,000 tickets. Is there going to be a point soon, where the demand for Golovkin is big enough that the money is there for Cotto to go after him, or a Canelo, or any one of those guys where he becomes the draw and he's the one that's going to be holding the power that says,
no,
I get to pick my fights?
No, because there's just no marquee name unless he does what Beeb and James is saying and moves up to fight Ward. He needs a marquee name to become a star, and that's why they want Cotto or Canelo or all these people to get in the ring.
He needed that Chavez Jr. fight.
Right?
He needed that Chavez Jr. fight really bad, and it's a shame that fight did not happen.
Yep.
Because there's no one out there. Peter Quillen and even Andre Ward. That's why I don't even understand. Guys are like, oh, Ward. And I hope that your hardcore is asking for Ward to fight Golovkin, because what the fuck does Golovkin gain?
No, from a financial standpoint, it's not worth it from a financial standpoint, because there's bigger money fights out there fighting other guys. He'll make more to fight Cotto. He'll make more to fight Froch. He'll make more to fight Chavez Jr. So
again, Beeb,
it's not just the monetary value you get.
Other facts, James. Lawfer was also quoted saying that a fight with Andre Ward isn't pay-per-view because neither of them are pay-per-view stars. So that fight is too much, and HBO is not interested. And a fight with Chavez is pay-per-view, and the fight with Froch is pay-per-view.
Fight with Cotto's pay-per-view. Fight with Cotto's pay-per-view.
Exactly.
I don't think it's necessarily just as much as like a monetary gain that he would get from fighting a top fighter like Cotto or something like that. It's more his star power. He might not get the immediate money. He would definitely get less than I'm sure Cotto would in that fight. But if he went in there and he blasted out Cotto, his stardom would be just through the roof. A lot of people know Cotto. Cotto's a big name. If he went in there and he fought him, what he gets out of that win is more than what money gets, because the money will be coming in the future if he gets in there and with Cotto.
Let's look at this now. Everyone's saying that the fight that's going to happen is Cotto-Canelo, but I'm not 100% sure that this Cold War thing is all hashed out completely. So if that doesn't happen, where else does Cotto go? I think the next big fight for Cotto would be a Golovkin fight.
No,
unless they're serious about this Tim Bradley thing, which I'm not sure if they are or not.
They better not be fucking serious.
Cotto could fight Bradley and I don't like the Bradley fight. I don't like Bradley moving up that far. But Cotto could fight Bradley clearly, or he could fight Peter Quillen in New York. Why can't he?
Because that's another Golden Boy thing.
Cold War. He's not signed.
I know.
But he said that he wouldn't do anything without Loeffler.
He's still going to want Top Rank to handle him.
Yeah, he said he wouldn't do anything without Loeffler. So although he didn't sign with Top Rank, his allegiance there is with Top Rank, and I believe him.
So there's going to be issues with that, Ness.
Get him a big fight. They're going to have to get him a big fight, and they don't have one.
Well, I hope that the Cold War is over, but we still haven't seen any matchups yet. We haven't seen any matchups made yet since allegedly the Cold War is over. So until we see a matchup made, we have to assume that there's still some problems. I'm not going to say problems, but there's still some issues in moving forward because we haven't seen anything done yet. Until we see something done yet, then we can say with certainty that this Cold War is over.
Hey, you know what? They might make him fight Kirkland. Hey, Rob, I'm going to get to some other callers here, man.
Introducing the hard-hitting ringside Robbie.
Good evening, guys. James, I hate to disagree with you, but I don't want to see Cotto fight Golovkin next. I think the best fight for Cotto, if it can be made, is Canelo. I think that would be a more financially successful fight.
But Robbie, why has it got to be an A and B? Why do you have to be? Why do you have to not like one and like the other? You could like both. I'm okay with the Cotto-Canelo fight. Don't get me wrong on that. But if Golovkin fought Cotto, I still think that'd be a good fight. Like while I said before, I think Golovkin gets Cotto out of there pretty quickly. I still think it'll be an entertaining fight because as much as we like to say Golovkin's this amazing fighter, he could have some defensive issues. He likes to take punches. I mean, you could see the knockout, man. He just took a fucking cross. So I mean, I think Cotto would give him some issues in there, but I don't think it's an A and B. I like both fights.
I like the Canelo fight better because I think it'd be more competitive.
Yeah. No, I like both fights, but I think the Canelo fight would be more competitive and it would be more interesting. If Golovkin fights Cotto, Golovkin will get him out of there very quickly just because of the size. Unless you make Golovkin go down to like 156 or something, and I don't want to see him lose weight unless it's something they have to agree to. And I'm tired of the Daniel Geales of the world getting these shots at Golovkin. It's time to move. It's time to give Golovkin somebody who can really fight and let him clean up the middleweight division. Why do we have to force a guy to move up? Peter Quillen needs to get a real fight. Put Quillen in there with Golovkin. Let's find out what kind of fighter Mr. Kid Chocolate is, because I have never been 100% sold on him. And Solomon, it would be, if you allow Solomon to move around the ring, that might be boring as hell. But I don't think I think anybody at this point Golovkin could get rid of pretty easily at 160. But the fight I'm more interested in is Cotto-Canelo, if that fight can be made. And as far as the heavyweights are concerned, I think Jennings and Stavern would be an interesting fight, but I don't think Stavern is going to get past Wilder. I don't think Stavern can handle the power that Wilder presents.
Don't be so sure on that. Wilder has a questionable chin. Until I see that get rocked, it'll always be in question to me. That's the biggest question mark about him. Hey, real quick, I want to bring this up too because you said you're tired of seeing Golovkin fight the Daniel Geales of the world. So, I mean, we got to remember the Cold War, if it's going to end, is just starting to end right now. So Cotto just fought. So Daniel Geale, who would you have rather seen him fight than Daniel Geale, not 168? In the 160 division, who's better in your mind than Daniel Geale that he hasn't already fought?
No, James, what I'm saying is the Daniel Geale fight was okay for this fight. But I'm talking about moving forward. I don't want to see another fighter like Geale get a shot at Golovkin.
Would you be okay with a Martin Murray? Because I'd be okay with a Martin Murray.
Yeah, no, Martin Murray would be fine. He could fight that fight. But if he wants a unification fight, give the man what he's asking for. Give him a Sam Solomon. Give him a Peter Quillen. But let's not talk about Cotto Golovkin. If I'm a matchmaker, I want to make the Cotto-Canelo fight. That's what I want.
Well, I believe they'll pay for a Sam Solomon fight. Sam Solomon will come over here without a doubt. It'll be him first. Cotto's not taking a fight with him next. Robbie, anything else before we go to another caller, man?
You guys haven't talked about it, but what did Fury do yesterday?
He didn't do anything. The fight was postponed, my friend. Postponed.
Okay, all right. No wonder why you didn't talk about it. Well, what's next for Tyson then since his fight got canceled?
Derek Chisora reschedule?
Scheduled the Chisora fight. He withdrew in the last minute, just hours before he was supposed to fight. And they say that
it was like an illness with his dad or his uncle or whatever.
Uncle Hugo Fury. Huey Fury, excuse me, sorry.
That's his trainer. For people that don't know, that's his lead trainer.
The quote was that he was seriously ill.
we are gonna see the Chisora fight. Well, when are we gonna get to see him on U.S. TV? I mean,
when
I don't
he fights
mind
an
him
American
staying over
fighter,
there.
Robbie.
James, Peter Fury is his trainer. I'm sorry to correct you. Hugo Fury is his other uncle.
If I'm wrong, then you correct the shit out of me.
No, I just don't want to. I don't want to, step on your toes. I just want to.
You're live.
I've been wrong before. I won't be the first. Or I won't be the last time.
Hey, what's up, G? It's Ali from Dago.
Ali, what's up, brother? Talk to us.
Yeah, man. I wanted to say about Deontay, Mike Perez and Brian Jennings. To me personally, I thought it was a cool fight. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I actually liked the fight, and I did give the fight to Jennings. But I personally think that Deontay Wilder would kill Brian Jennings and Mike Perez.
Like, the way Mike Perez fights, fuck yeah.
I disagree, but I just think punching power wise, I just think once he lands one punch, I just think the whole effect is just going to be so different. I'm not saying he'll knock him out with one shot, but once he hits him, I just think they'll react different. Like, they won't want to really attack him or throw punches because I really feel Deontay's power is just unbelievable. I'm really high on Deontay Wilder, but I do agree. I forgot who said it. I agree with you because I do question his chin because he really hasn't been tested like that. But I'm one of the people that I feel if he can take a punch, I don't think nobody can beat Deontay Wilder.
It's not that there's a question about it. Is that he's been downed and hurt badly early in his career. He was on the floor wobbling. At Fantasy Springs, man. So it's not that it's not that if he has a questionable chin. Because to be honest with you, I'm with you, man. I think his power is legit. But can he take someone else's power? Yeah. I mean, we've seen this so many times that fighters look so good. Look at Amir Khan. If Amir Khan had a steel granite chin, that dude would be a force to be fucking reckoned with. But let's be real. Your entire fighting game can be unraveled in a moment if you got a soft chin. And that's what I need to see. If he fights Remains to Burn, he survives that fight, I'll buy into the hype.
Yeah, I'm with you, bro. Like, you make some good points. But I don't know. I really feel Deontay Wilder's the truth, and I think he destroys Vernon. I think he destroys him with no problem. That's just my opinion. But I also want to talk about I'm hearing that what's his name? Miguel Cotto is fighting Chavez Jr. I heard that's like a 70% right now. Did y'all hear about that?
Yeah, I don't know if Chavez can make 160, and Cotto just fought at 159.
Yeah, exactly, but that's the rumor right now. Like they're like close to negotiations right now. So,
well, if they take it, believe me, they're probably gonna win it because no one knows Chavez better than Freddie Roach. And if they're gonna make him get down to 160, that's either has to be a very dedicated Chavez or very drained Chavez. But Ali, I'm going to get to some other callers, brother. We're going to speed things up with all these callers here. Thanks for calling in. I hope you continue to do so. Damn. It's all good, brother. It's all good. You know, he got paid handsomely for that, Jim. Jim, you there?
Good day, mate. Yes, sorry, mate. How are you?
Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
Thanks, guys.
Yo, do Australians hate that? Do Australians hate that all Americans say that same shrimp on the barbie shit?
It's so good. I don't think we really hate it.
Yo, do you guys have? I don't want to off track the show, but does Australians have anything stupid like that Americans say?
No, not really. Not really.
All right, let's get back to boxing. Thanks for calling me out, guys. Keep it real.
I just wanted to touch on a few things, but just what Ringside Robbie was talking about before. I think he was down talking Geale a little bit too much. I mean, I know he didn't really look. I mean, he looked fucking terrible. Really, he got whooped a lot quicker than I thought he would. I thought he was going to give it a bit more of a spirited effort. But I mean, like bringing in guys like Martin Murray or Sam Solomon. I mean, mate, Sam Solomon and Martin Murray. I don't really see either of them beating Geale, to be honest. I mean, I know we've seen a lot of Solomon on our domestic fights here, and I mean, he's been beat by Mundine 3 times. He was knocked out by Mundine. He's punch drunk. Like if you hear him talk, he's a really nice guy and everything. I think he's a cool guy. But I mean, I don't think it's fair to say that Solomon is in a higher class than Geale. I mean, Geale Golovkin's just good, man. Like I mean, and I really don't think that Murray is on a higher level than those guys either. So I don't know. I just wanted to clear that up. That I don't really see.
Well, I disagree.
I don't want him fighting guys like Solomon, but I mean, you know, if you look at who Solomon's lost to, I don't know.
I disagree with you on one thing. I think that Geale did good. I think Geale made Golovkin probably miss more than anybody, right? I think that he showed good movement. It's clear that you're not gonna beat Golovkin without matching.
It was inevitable.
Power. You have to match his power because
I said you need to have power to be able to keep him at bay. Because like,
when,
even if
when he makes,
he's going to catch you on some stage.
He makes mistakes, but when he makes them, you need to be able to capitalize. And look, Geale was capitalizing, but the power was not there. And while we're talking Golovkin, right, I just want to mention someone on Twitter asked us to bring up Floyd Mayweather at 154 versus Golovkin. I will just quickly say that I don't think Floyd would ever fight Golovkin.
That's not even a thought in my mind right now. That's so out of there. No, I don't think that'll ever happen either.
I think Cotto would fight Golovkin twice. Floyd would fight him once.
Yeah, look, Geale did do good, and I mean that bullshit 4-minute first round cost him a lot, too, in my opinion. But I mean, it was still inevitable. At one point or another, it was going to happen. Like he was going to get knocked out. That stoppage, I'm not sure. They didn't go over it too much. We don't get the HBO broadcast here in Australia. We get a different international broadcast, and they didn't really go over what happened. I ended up YouTubing the post-fight presser later. But did Geale, was he saying no to the ref that he couldn't go on?
Yes.
Or shaking his head because he was pissed off? Because I thought
I think he was shaking his head saying he can't continue. He couldn't continue, man.
Yeah, he said no. He said no.
He said no. He asked him if you could continue. He just shook his head nonchalantly, like he was trying not to let everyone in the arena know. He just shook his head off. He just gave him a quick little jammer. But let me ask you guys something, because I was talking to my wife last night about this shit, because she brought it up to me actually. If say Geale got knocked out in that like 3 minutes 30 seconds, and they realized that it was an error in timekeeping, would that go to a no contest?
Well,
It has
I
to
was
be.
just thinking that right now that maybe if Geale and Gary Shaw are smart, they contest the loss, period. Because he fought an extra minute.
He took more damage than he should have at that point.
Your body becomes accustomed to things, especially when you're training. It's a regimen, so it's routine, and all of a sudden to shock your body and do 4 straight minutes, that's a bitch. I'd at least try.
That was an absolute disgrace on that level too.
Absolutely.
For that timekeeper, that's
Listen,
absolutely disgraceful.
How do you fuck it up by an exact minute?
Let me ask you guys and everyone else that's gonna call in 646-478-3068. Did you see a time clock on the round? Because Sev was here, and I'm like, Sev, it's fucking weird that happened. Because James, I swear to God, I was telling Sev, I'm like, Sev, look, there's no time clock. Yo, I bet you
it disappeared. Go back and watch. There was. I think when the HBO broadcast realized that the timekeeper was off, they kind of like made it disappear a little bit. Yeah, they just took it off. It just went away.
I had turned to Sev, and I was like, yo, watch this fight go over the 3 minutes. And sure enough, it did, dude. We were fucking yelling like kids because I couldn't believe that they would make such a mistake. And somebody mentioned that HBO did a good job. I think it was James, and it might have been a caller. I'm not sure. But the point is, no, they did not. During
beef. And I would agreed with them, though. That was beef, but I agreed with them because I thought it wasn't too bad, man. They weren't.
Yeah? Okay,
What the caller said, what the exact thing what the caller said is that sometimes when the fucking HBO broadcasters go on their little high horse, like really promoting a fighter, it's good when the fighter's doing everything correctly and when it's actually something. Instead of like having him swing and a miss and be like, oh, look at the activity, but he's missing.
You're defending yourself without even knowing which angle I'm taking in my argument. You and Beeb are like on fucking 2 mopeds and you just haul ass. Listen, you can't defend the fact that for like 3 rounds they were talking about Terrence Crawford Gamboa during the Jennings fight. That's BS. That's BS, man. That's disrespectful.
That's a good point. I'm not going to lie.
But anyway, Jim, back to you, brother.
Yeah.
Oh, but real quick too. Sorry, this just came to my head. They brought up the Gamboa fight because he's a Cuban.
People are like keep on saying, "Oh, I'm sick of him fighting different fighters or fighters like Geale." I mean, it's a thin division. Geale is a genuine top 160 pounder. Like, who else in the division would you categorically fucking pick against Geale? Like, besides Golovkin.
Hey, Jim, I think it's the Australian in you.
I think Murray gives him issues.
Getting upset because no one has even called in yet. Maybe you've seen it on the forum, but Geale legitimizes Golovkin. I'll jump on your team on this, and absolutely, Geale is a legitimate opponent. He's a 2-time former champion in that division, and while I felt that he ducked Golovkin, hey, he got in there and he showed that Golovkin could be hit. And he gave it an effort, but he got caught with a shot that probably no one would have got.
That was unbelievable that he could land that shot like that while his head was getting snapped back. Like, I mean, you wouldn't want to continue fighting after that. Someone could do that when you just landed a cracking shot like that and they fucking drop you. Like, that is ridiculous.
Jim, I questioned that knockout. I watched the replay like 4 times. I kept rewinding it because I said to myself, well, typically when someone breaks your forward motion with a jab, that power, like that punch shouldn't have the full impact. But I guess it did. But I questioned it at first. Like, man, maybe Geale's trying to check out.
I think that speaks to the power of Golovkin to make him concede like that, because there's no doubt that he could have continued. I think Geale could have continued for sure. He just chose not to continue.
Well,
I don't knock on him. I'm not in there with Golovkin, so who the fuck am I to say that? But
he may not have had his legs underneath him. That's probably why he decided.
Yeah, well, he did back.
He fell back into the right.
Yeah, he fell backwards. But Jim, I'm gonna get to some other callers, brother.
Can I just bring up quickly Perez?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Look, I think that I mean, I know you guys are defending Jennings. There are things he did right in there. I wasn't overly impressed with either guy, to be honest. But I just think Perez fucking lost that fight, and it was on laziness and poor conditioning. He came in there fat, and I mean, he was winning. Like, there wasn't much that Jennings could do in the first half of the fight, and he fucking sucked. Like, he didn't have the conditioning. Wasn't in shape, and I think he lost that fight. Like, I don't really think that it was as much the adjustments that Jennings made. I think that Perez just put in a really shit effort in camp and
I disagree.
came in and disappointed himself.
I disagree because credit to the guy that listened to that saying that fights are won in the gym. Jennings did come conditioned. Perez was the more talented fighter, but like we said earlier, sometimes sheer will and determination could defeat skill, and that's what happened because
I agree
Perez,
with that. I'm not trying to.
When Perez looked his best, he was training with Abel Sanchez, and when he wasn't, we seen his last 2 fights for training in Ireland. So there you go. Before Perez landed on our screens, the knock on him was always that he had lack of discipline.
Yeah. Oh, I'll let you guys go.
All right, brother. Let me see here. 313, you're live on the Boxing Voice. Who's this?
What's up, Ness? This is Wissam from Detroit.
What's going on, brother?
Yep. Nothing much. Very much enjoyed yesterday's fight. And I just want to get right into it. I called last week and I told you I wasn't really impressed with either Mike Perez or Bryant Jennings. And the fight pretty much went exactly as I thought. The one thing I was surprised with, and I said that Bryant Jennings would edge it, and that's exactly what he did. I had him winning by 2 points with that point deduction for headbutting and hitting on the break. But one thing that did kind of impress me was I didn't know. I actually was unaware that Mike Perez had such a good amateur background, and it showed during the first 5 rounds. He was flipping, catching them with 1-2s, being very elusive. I just think he kind of gassed out after the 5th round. He looked extremely tired, opening his mouth, leaning on Jennings, and basically giving him the fight, allowing him to work on the inside. At one point, I saw him lean on the ropes so far, I thought the ropes were going to break. And he looked very, very tired. And it was an okay fight for those first 6 rounds. After that, it kind of got a little ugly for my taste. And it was just Jennings' work rate that kind of brought him to fight, in my opinion, and that last point deduction. And in terms of Triple G, again, I called last week and I said that it would be over before 5 rounds. I said within 5 rounds, and he did it within 3. And super, super impressed with this guy. He's my favorite fighter right now. And to touch on I guess the Andre Ward situation. Okay, when as casual fans, I would give them basically the benefit of doubt, saying, okay, his team said anybody from 154 to 168. And say, oh, why wouldn't he fight Andre Ward? He's ducking him. A casual fan, that's his mentality. He doesn't know the business. He doesn't know what it actually means to promote a fight, what it means to take a fight. With Andre Ward, firstly, there's and you guys know this, there's actually no incentive, no financial incentive to go out of your natural weight class to fight him. So when the promotional team, when the manager, they say we'll fight anybody from 154 to 168, what they're saying from a hardcore perspective, people who know the business, is if Mayweather comes knocking at 154, we'll go down. If Truax comes knocking or Chavez Jr. comes knocking at 168, we'll go up. Golovkin is a very, very small middleweight. I saw him yesterday. He looked very, very small than he looked in the Macklin fight. That's why I tweeted Vic and I tried to ask him what was his because I was watching it on Sky Sports. They didn't have any of the stats. I asked him what weight did he come in at the fight. I'd be surprised if it was more than 168. He looked very, very lean, very, very small. And that's probably why that fight won't happen at the moment. But it's possible that could happen in the future. There's no ducking. Nobody is ducking anybody. These are promotional issues. These are management issues. For the same reason why when they asked Andre Ward, would you go up to fight Kovalev, his response was, well, it's not a pay-per-view fight, and I'm not a natural 175-pounder. Exactly the exact same reason what Golovkin's team uses to avoid the fight with him. Are we now to say that Andre Ward, number 2 pound for pound, supposedly, I don't buy into that, but is ducking Kovalev? He's not. He's looking out for himself. He's trying to make the best fights possible. And that's exactly what Golovkin is doing. He wants to get that exposure from a Cotto fight, from a Chavez fight, from a Canelo fight. He's already small enough to make those weights, and he's willing to actually go down for those fighters. He's not waiting for them to come up. Golovkin, I'm sure, would have no problem fighting Cotto at a catchweight or fighting Canelo at a catchweight, and Canelo probably comes in the fight bigger than Golovkin already. So it's not an issue of ducking anybody. It's simple logic. And in terms of him, you know, having susceptibilities in defense, I wholeheartedly refute that by saying when a guy doesn't respect your punching power, he's not going to fight off the back foot. You're not going to see his technical abilities. Let's not forget one of the slickest boxers in the sport, Floyd Mayweather. He got hit 200 times by one of the slowest, most flat-footed fighters at 147. Andre Ward, when he fought Sakiovika, got hit over 200 times, and Sakiovika was ranked number 15. Golovkin is taking these guys who are ranked very highly in his division and making them look like worms. We have to appreciate what he's doing in there. You cannot just call everybody he fights, a bum. When I first heard about Triple G, it was from like a Ellie Seckbach video saying, oh, he's the next Mike Tyson, he has this much great power. But when I actually looked into his fights, I saw much, much more. And even when the fighters in the post-fight press conference, they ask him about the power of Golovkin. They don't even comment on the power so much. They say it's his timing, it's his distance, it's his ring generalship, his IQ, the way he's able to. His jab is one of the best jabs. I think the one thing underrated about Andre Ward is his jab. He has one of the sneakiest, greatest jabs I've ever seen. And Golovkin has almost the exact same jab. He doesn't give you any tells in his face when he throws it. It just pops you. And that's what I like about his jab. And the way he cut off the ring, like I told you guys, one guy last week was saying, oh, it was a 16 by 16 ring, a crazy statement to make. But when he fought Adama and held him to 12% connect, that ring on Saturday night was huge, and Golovkin was cutting him off at every single point while Geale was doing everything he possibly could. He was giving him angles, hopping in and out, countering him at times. He was moving along the rope. He exerted his entire repertoire, and Golovkin just dismantled him. So this guy, I believe, is really, really special. He would give Andre Ward a very good fight. I still think Andre Ward is a little too heavy, a little too big. Golovkin walks around 167, and Andre Ward walks around probably 188, something like that, 180. So, but skills-wise, he's definitely up there with him. I wouldn't be surprised if he would beat Andre Ward. And that's pretty much all I wanted to say.
I think that's not true. He doesn't walk around at 167. I heard 174.
No, he was 167 when he came into camp with in his last fight against Adama, and he was 164 before cutting weight the last week of the fight. He's very small. People don't realize that he's. I mean, that's the first thing I realized about him during his workouts. So he looks super small.
I don't know about that weight. I think those numbers might be wrong. But hey, I'm gonna get to some other callers. But thanks for calling in, brother.
Thank you. This is my present for everybody. Thank you, my friends.
626, what's up? You're live.
Good boy. What up, Ness?
Oh, Nelson, my bad. I didn't know that was you.
Yeah, man, you just good boyed yourself.
This is my style, like Mexican style. This is fight. This is not game. This fight. I love fight.
Yeah, that's some true shit right there, man. He's moving around there like Prime Chavez, whooping dudes' asses. But for real though, man, Golovkin is a fucking problem, man. I'm not just calling him Triple G now. I'm just calling him Triple Gangster, because that's what he is. He's Triple Gangster. He's running up in these dudes' spots and getting them the fuck out of there, like a true champion.
Yeah, no, he impressed me. Remember, I picked this inside of 6, and I even argued with a couple of callers saying that I wanted him to be spectacular, and he did that because he knocked out a guy that hadn't been knocked out before, and he knocked him out in 3 rounds.
Hell yeah.
But you know, there's just, again, the problem now falls, where's his big fight? Like, he's going to have to keep fighting this level of guys for a long time. It's going to be Bernard Hopkins, except televised.
Yeah, I mean, I've said that before about him and about a couple other fighters, but it's one of those things where some guys, they just get kind of caught between a rock and a hard place regarding their level of opposition and who they have available to them in their division. So it's one of those things where he's just going to have to grind it out and build up his own fan base before he's able to capitalize on getting another big name in there with him.
Yeah, the best thing he could do is fight Peter Quillen on regular HBO in the Barclay or Madison Square Garden and knock out Peter Quillin, steal his New York fans, and then they need to give him a fight in L.A. at the StubHub. You know, because the Mexicans love him too, so they need to put him over there, and then he could probably do a pay-per-view with anybody.
Chavez in the StubHub would be huge.
If you wanted to scour up that fan base, put him up against Rubio and StubHub.
I think Rubio may still belong to Top Rank somewhere or somehow.
Well, I mean, they could deal with K2, no?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
I was gonna say, because I mean, I could have sworn that Rubio was with what's that Mexican company? I can't think of the name now. They're almost like Top Rank Mexico or whatever. I can't think of the name.
Oh, the one that Marquez is signed to, right?
Zamfer.
Yeah, Zamfer Promotions. Yep.
Zamfer. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's with them, but I could be wrong. But yeah, man. But Golovkin's just doing it, man. He's taking out top 10 level opposition like they were straight up, chumps. Like he's straight up picking up the trash. And seeing these were the level of guys that Martinez was pretty much running through. Also, like when Martinez was in his prime. The only thing was Martinez was having some trouble with these guys before he got him out of there. Golovkin is pretty much toying with them and like a cat with a mouse, and then taking him out whenever he feels like it. As soon as he stepped on the gas, Geale didn't have nothing for him.
Yeah, but the difference is, credit to Martinez, the difference is the power was a little more comparable. Here, Golovkin, no one can match his power. Like Curtis Stevens couldn't match his power, and there's really no one else that he fought with power that we could even compare him.
I mean, that's kind of true. I mean, the thing is, Martinez had good power. I mean, you can't necessarily say that he didn't.
Yeah,
because,
but
especially because he was able to spar guys out.
He didn't have Golovkin power, though, Nelta. He didn't have Golovkin power because Daniel Geale would have lasted. Daniel Geale, we both know Daniel Geale would have lasted more rounds with Sergio Martinez.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look at the Macklin fight. I mean, all you need to do is look at that. I mean, the guys like Macklin and Geale are pretty much around that same level as some of the dudes that Martinez fought during his run. Darren Barker and all that stuff. So it's about similar level of opposition. But I mean, yeah, Golovkin, he's in a troubled spot. It's one of those things where unless he goes out of his way to move up to like 168, he's gonna have a tough time getting a big fight. So it's really up to him and what he wants to do.
I don't think so. I think he has the easy fight with Sam Solomon on HBO, and I really think that he'll get the Chavez fight before anything else happens, before Cotto. He'll get a Chavez fight because people are asking for that. People are asking for that. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I could see that. And the thing is, I'd see Aaron being willing to rip Chavez because the whole thing with Chavez Jr. is you never know how he's going to show up. So he might just lose to a guy that's not even as good as Golovkin on any given day because of how much of a head case that dude is. So there's that. And then, but I'm only saying that just because of the fact that with Golovkin, it's almost like he'd get an easier time having a big money fight at 168 than 160. That's the only reason why I'd say that. Otherwise, I mean, if he wants to stay at 160, then hey, go after it. Stay there and stay dominant.
If I were Team Triple G, I would fucking dupe HBO into 168 fight, like one fight at 168 to test the waters. And get a million or whatever for that versus some mediocre 168 dude. And then fight a ward just to make them pay for that shit because it's not his fault that there's no one out there, and it's not his fault that freaking network doesn't want to do business because the Quillin fight is out there, and I think that's a good fight to build his popularity in the East Coast because let's be honest, he didn't sell out. They only did the first bowl, and Peter Quillin. When he headlined Barclays Center, he had 13,000. So that means Peter Quillin has more fans on the East Coast than Gennady Golovkin. And Gennady clearly is the bigger puncher. So, how do you draw those numbers up?
Yeah, no. And Quillin brings kind of a different type of fan base. He has a totally different kind of style. And then, some of, like, just the way his fights have been promoted and stuff. It's a different group. So he could probably steal off some of those fans and then some of the people who are fans of Quillin who just like that Golovkin just smashed on Quillin will be a hater of him, but they'll still be watching him, so they'll still be bringing the ratings.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean that's a good builder. But I mean, as for Mike Perez and Brian Jennings, though, man, it's kind of unfortunate because I like both of these guys, but I really was generally unimpressed with how they looked in there. The thing is, like, Jennings, it seemed like he missed a lot of opportunity to stick a jab on Perez and disrupt his rhythm, and he didn't do it. And then Perez, he was pretty much out-skilling Jennings, but as soon as he got tired, Jennings was able to do this kind of out-physical. He was able to out-stamina and basically won based on Perez gassing out, as opposed to really being a more technically sound boxer than Perez, or being just a more powerful boxer.
I believe the thing was the jab was ineffective, and he was getting countered off his own jab. So I think that's why he stopped trying to jab as much, because he was trying it in the beginning, but he lost all those. I think like the first 4, maybe 5 rounds, this dude lost trying to be a boxer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it would have served Jennings well to kind of be more in and out, like to hit pivot, force Perez to kind of keep coming after him and repositioning himself, because Perez is the type of dude that likes to stand his ground and throw combos. Perez is the type of dude that likes to stand his ground and throw combos. He's not the type of guy to really be on the move while he's throwing punches, whether it's forward or backward. So, I mean, I think that would have suited Jennings well, but it just didn't seem like he had the ability to do that, or he didn't recognize the openings to do that. So that was kind of unfortunate, because the thing with Perez is like,
Vic said that he texted me and said that Peter Quillen was the co-feature, Danny was the main event. That's why they did that number.
Yeah, I mean, but even still, though, I mean, Quillen is a big, you know how New York fans are, man. They're gonna come out for a New York fighter, and Quillen's a New York dude, so.
And he also headlined in the StubHub versus Winky Wright.
Mm-hmm. Was that a headline? Are you sure?
It was either.
Because I'm pretty sure that was a stacked card.
It was either that or Latif Coyote Tarver was the headline, right?
I think it was. Coyote Tarver. Yeah.
Well, I guess Quillen never headlined then.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I think Quillen probably has a fair fan base by now, man. He's been on enough of these, fairly notable cards and stuff, and enough people know of him, even though it seems like he has a lot more haters than he has fans. The thing is, I like Quillen or whatever, but still, he's not on that level. He's not on that level. They've been giving him a lot of guys. They've been taking advantage of the fact that middleweight's not deep with the level of opposition that they've been giving Quillen.
Well, that could be said about Golovkin, no?
Yep.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say they're taking advantage of it as in the same degree, though. I mean, Golovkin's opposition is better than Quillen's is. Curtis Stevens is better than anybody Quillen's fought.
Not better than Winky Wright. Not better than Winky Wright. Huh? Winky Wright would beat Curtis Stevens.
No.
Not now.
No, Ness.
Not now.
Winky Wright is old as shit.
Not the Winky Wright that fought Quillen. I think that the same Winky Wright that fought Quillen would beat Stevens. You kidding me? Stevens lost to Jesse Brinkley, man.
So? That was at 168, man. Winky Wright was a career 154 who was old, and he fought Quillen.
I still think he'd beat Stevens. Who Stevens beat? Edwin Alaya? Who's his notable wins?
Winky Wright had a good fight against Hopkins.
He's got all kinds of power. That bullshit, high guard shit that Winky Wright pulls to get his ass lumped up against Curtis Stevens.
It didn't lump up a lot of guys. It didn't lump up fucking Trinidad.
Hey, he got lumped up by Jermaine Taylor. He got lumped up by Fernando Vargas.
But it was effective with some guys. And a guy with the limited skills of Curtis Stevens that all he has is a big left hook. Terriano Johnson beat Curtis Stevens. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, okay. Terriano Johnson's a good fighter too.
Yeah, 14.
I like to see Terriano against Quillen. That'd be a good ass fight.
14 fights.
Quillen ain't getting out of there easy against Terriano. I'm telling you that.
Oh. So James just tweeted text that Peter Quillen is going to be facing Andy Lee on the undercard of Mayweather.
Oh, I'm not saying that's fact. I just was looking this up on BoxRec because they also list Keith Thurman on that undercard too.
They got Keith Thurman in there as well, but this is what BoxRec is putting out. So you know, if this is true, not bad.
Yeah, I mean, I like that fight. I like that. You know,
I mean, but Andy Lee just fought at
looked-
154 his last fight, though. This is the problem. Like, this is bullshit. This is the bullshit about Quillen and Golovkin.
So what? So what? That's Lee. Or Lee had been at 160 all that time. He fought Chavez at 160. He fought all these other guys at 160. I mean, he's got power. He's got huge power. He knocked fucking John Jackson out with one shot as he was about to get knocked out. He was stumbling all over the fucking place, and he still had the power to knock a dude cold.
Okay, if you want.
So I mean, that's a fairly legit fight to me. I mean, hey, the Lee. If you want to do that comparison stuff, you know, he fought Chavez Jr. So why not? Yeah, get him in there with Quillen for comparison's sake at least.
All right, now let me get to some other callers here, man. We got a lot of people, and they've been holding for a while, brother. Thanks for calling in. 773. What's going on, brother? 773. Going once. Going twice. You're gone. 770. 770.
Yo.
Yo.
Hey, Alex from Atlanta. I wanted to talk about a bunch of stuff, but I just to respond quickly, I definitely think that Stevens would probably knock out Quillen. I think Quillen hasn't kept his level of opposition up, and Stevens might not be like super well rounded, but he would put the kind of pressure that would, you know, really test Quillen, and that's something I'd like to see Quillen. I just heard just now from y'all that he's going to be fighting Lee. I guess I like that fight, but
That's not stone. I just want to make sure that everyone knows that's not in stone for sure. That's just what BoxRec is saying right now.
yeah, because I've been hearing that Quillen has a mandatory against Korobov, or I can't say his name, but I've been hearing he's got a mandatory coming up. So that brings me to what I wanted to say about Golovkin and his options, and mainly that's that last night he said that he was focused on 160, you know, and I think that's where he needs to be, because he does have a chance. Like the Australian guy called in earlier about not taking anything away from Geale, and Geale is pretty much just as solid as Murray or, you know, any one of the top guys at middleweight. The fact is that right now the middleweight division isn't really stacked. I mean, it's hard to put Triple G in like all-time great terms, because there isn't that great of opposition out for him anyway. And I think that honestly he deserves kind of something better than a shot at like taking the title from just a 154-pounder, really, like Cotto, and that he's probably going to have to take another stay-busy fight, bide his time, see what ends up happening with the Cotto lineal title. I mean, it could be that Cotto-Canelo happens, and, you know, maybe Cotto wins, maybe Canelo wins, but maybe in the meantime, GGG takes a fight with, like, Solomon or another top middleweight guy, and I think he should stay focused on 160, and that really, if he unifies titles and becomes like the man at 160, then the big fights are going to come to him. Forget going up to, like, you know, he says he's comfortable at 168 or 154, but why even take the chance if you're him? I mean, he's a monster where he's at. Nobody can touch him. And if he just stays at the top, then the big fights, the big money is going to come to him.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't really, like a fight with him at 168 for Ward is really risky. I mean, he's got the chance to do something kind of historic, kind of like pull the spotlight from Floyd and say, hey, this is how you know, keep an O. This is how you fight the bet, you know? Like, he's got his own thing going. He doesn't need I expect some of the 154 pounders to come up and challenge him in the next couple of years, but I don't see that much other talent in the division, really.
Now, look, I'll play devil's advocate with myself because I don't like guys asking Triple G to move up. But why aren't they forcing him to move up? Why isn't everybody beating the drum the way they beat the drum for fucking Floyd to move up?
Well,
when you think of the 147-pound division, yeah, we want to see fights with Porter and Thurman, but Floyd will still be the favorite. So him and Golovkin are in the same boat. Guys want Floyd to move up every day. They want him to fight Gennady, for God's sake. So why? Let's push Gennady then. If we're going to get Sam Solomon,
he's got unfinished business where he's at. There's unfinished business, and he has got like a few years. If he's going to gain weight, he can always go up. But I mean, what is he? He's 32. He's not like that young, so I think he just ought to stand his ground at middleweight. Like he might have to take another stay busy fight, but what's that for Gennady? That's like 3-4 months. He fights all the time. You know, in another, not this next fight, but in 2 fights, we could see him probably unify, and then after that, like, you know, people aren't going to be talking lineal anything. I mean, really, Cotto at this point needs to take a GGG fight or vacate for health reasons. So that's all there is, you know.
I agree with that. Cotto needs to vacate that title if he's not going to fight, because Triple G deserves to fight for it some way, somehow, whether that be fighting Cotto or fighting someone for the vacant titles. But 770, man, I'm going to get to some other callers. Thanks for calling in, brother.
Yeah, sure. Take it easy.
All right.
It's Baltimore, gentlemen. The gods will not save you.
That's what I'm talking about, my nigga. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. The gods can't save you. What's up, Ness?
Chilling, brother. What's up, man? What you thought about Gennady Golovkin last night?
Oh man, yo, they did a good job, man. They did a good job in convincing me that this guy cannot be beat. The spin galleys over there at HBO, man, they got me. I'm on the bandwagon now. No one in the world can't beat this guy. No one. Nobody can't beat him and shit. Yeah, man. It's just like, man, I just don't know, man, what's up with these people, man. They keep playing the same game on you over and over again and shit. I liked it though. He beat the motherfucker they put in front of him, so that's all you can ask him to do. But shit, man, I want to see a good fight, man. I just want to see a good ass fucking fight, man. It's like, damn, they put this little clown in front of him. This nigga coming in with a fucking disco outfit from the 70s and shit. This fucking a silver suit, man.
He was wearing tinfoil, bro. Times are tough in Australia.
What?
He was wearing tinfoil.
That's the type of shit they wear in Australia. Man, that's some, man, I seen that clown ass bitch ass nigga.
Was he chopping out?
Beat the shit out this motherfucker, man. He gonna beat the shit out of him. But that's where it's at now. That's where it's at now. That's I know Cotto will be a goddamn fool if he try to fight him.
You know, I wanted to bring up Triple G's robe. That got to be the baddest fucking robe any fighter has ever wore to the ring. That looked like something the Pope would wear or something like that, man.
That looked like some Ric Flair shit. That's that nature boy. That's that nature boy shit right there, man. But yeah, man, he looked alright, but the nigga punched him in his fucking face, and he's still not. That was fear right there. That was fear. But I like the way this motherfucker talk. They could ask this motherfucker a question, and he don't answer the question. He just starts saying all American words he know and shit. He don't answer the questions and shit.
He say what the fuck he want to say. All the words he know, he just starts saying them. It don't got nothing to do with. It don't got nothing to do with nothing. The motherfucker just asked him and shit. I like that.
He did answer who he wants to fight next, though.
Thank you very much, Dan.
Yo, that motherfucker crazy. Hey, man, I'm gonna say this, man. Before I go, man, I'll make sure I get this out, yo. Yo, I don't think he should fight Andre Ward, man. At first I did, but Andre Ward is a bitch. Andre Ward, what you call around my way? I don't know what kind of hood y'all come from, but around my way, we call Andre Ward a bitch ass nigga, man. I swear, man. He what you call a bitch ass nigga, man. He should be out there trying to go. He should be out there trying to get that Kovalov in the ring. He should be trying to go after this motherfucker, man. He done did everything at 168. You understand? What else? These motherfuckers clearly, these boxing can go. Andre Ward think just because he won the gold medal, just because he won the gold medal, just because he won the Super 6, he won the Super 6 tournament, all that shit. People got to see him. He think he on that Mayweather level where he can call shots. He think motherfuckers got to go through him, but he don't know boxing can go on without this motherfucker. That's one thing. He got to humble himself, man, and start going at the motherfuckers and taking risks. He got to start taking risks, man. He got to get his name out there instead of trying to get GGG little ass in the ring and Chavez Jr. or Chavez little lazy ass son. Instead of trying to get that motherfucker in the ring, he need to be coming out. Kovalov said a few times he'll fight him, and he just ignored that shit. He just ignored that shit like it's nothing. Like somebody need to call him out on that. Somebody need to call him out on that, man. Somebody need to call Ward. I don't even want to talk about this nigga. I don't even want to talk about this nigga no more, man, because he irrelevant, man. He don't want to fight him. Him and another motherfucker I can't stand. I can't stand that motherfucker, Mikey Garcia either. I can't stand that little Mexican nigga, man. This motherfucker don't want to fight nobody, man. They just want to stay undefeated. They just want to stay undefeated and don't want to take no chances, want to take no risks. They don't want to take no risk. You understand what I'm saying? I'm saying, do you agree with me, Ness, or I'm just talking shit?
No, I actually do agree. Simply because Gennady Golovkin still has fights. You know, got the Sam Solomon, the Martin Murray, the Peter Quillen. You know, Cotto, if he decides to stay at 160, he has fights. Ward, on the other hand, doesn't have any fights unless he's gonna fight George Groves or give a shot to a guy like what's the guy that beat Brandon Gonzalez that I like? I forgot. James DeGale. If Ward isn't going to fight those up-and-coming kids, well, then he needs to be going to 175 because his business is done at 68. So for people to force Golovkin to go to 68 to fight Ward, Ward is the one that needs to get the hell out of the division because he's done all he can do there.
He need to, Ness. He need to get his ass. He need to get his ass up out of there. Let some of these kids. Give one of these, like you said, give one of these kids a shot, or get the fuck out the way, man. Just get the fuck out. Just get the fuck out the way. There's another thing. There's another motherfucker, man. What's up with this fucking Rigo, man? Nobody want to fight this motherfucker, man. They asked that little motherfucker Santa Cruz. He said he need about 5 or 6 more fights before he think about fighting Rigo. He said he need about at least 4 fights before he fight Rigo. I don't know, man. I don't know what's up, man. Nobody don't want to fight this. Nobody don't want to fight him, man. It's like I'm tired of these motherfuckers ducking. But I want to talk about the other fight, Brian Jennings. What's motherfucker? Bye Jennings. He fought that motherfucker. That other motherfucker was lazy, cause that other motherfucker could have beat him if he just would have put his foot on the gas. If he just would have put his foot on the gas, he had that fight. But I guess that's how he trained. You only gonna get what you put into it. So he ain't do too much. But I think him and Wilder would be a good ass fight. I've been said that a while ago. Wilder and Jennings will be a good ass fucking fight. What you think?
That's gonna happen if Wilder beats the Vern. So you know, you ain't got to worry about wanting it. It's gonna happen. That's the mandatory. Wood. Let me get to some other callers, brother. But thanks for calling in. What happened? You got something else, brother? Oh, I guess not. Let me see. Who's been on the longest? 817. You're live on the Boxer Voice. Who's this?
This is Big Jones from Texas.
What's going on, baby?
I want to talk about the Golovkin fight. Before I get started, I like Golovkin a lot. But I just got to keep it real. I think it's time for us as fight fans to hold everybody to the same standard. I think he had a great performance, but he didn't do anything that I wasn't expecting. If you're going to hold Andre Ward to a certain standard, if you're going to hold Floyd Mayweather to a certain standard, if you're going to hold whoever to a certain standard, Golovkin needs to be held to that same standard. My problem is not with him in the ring. I think he has all the skills in the world. I do think there's some things he could work on. But, excuse me, you can't – you have to be consistent with your message. If you want to clear out the division at 160, that's fine. But don't come out and then say, I'm willing to go up to fight Chavez Jr. at 168. And I'm not a casual fan. I'm just speaking the honest truth. If you're going to say you're going to go up to fight Chavez Jr. at 168, then the question is automatically going to come up. Well, then why don't you fight Ward? If we look at Miguel Cotto, we rewarded him for taking the risk. Even if Martinez was shot, we rewarded him for taking the risk of going up and fighting a Sergio Martinez and going up. Eventually, I want to see Golovkin take those same risks. I feel like he's a bully in the ring, and I love that. But I feel like outside the ring, he is as well. If you're gonna fight, at 160, look at his opponents. If you look at Gabe Rosado, if you even look at Cotto, I would like to see that fight. But Cotto's a naturally 154-pounder. Every fight that there is at middleweight, he has a clear-cut advantage. He is the favorite. And I don't have a problem with him clearing out the fight, but then when you clearing out the division, but then when you say you're going to move up and fight a Chavez Jr. because of the money and because it's a fight that you feel you can win, then I have a problem when you leave out Andre Ward and won't even consider him. That's my thing with it. I just feel like he needs to be held to that same standard. And I think he has the potential to be a great fighter, but I just think he needs to be consistent with what he's saying. If you're going to bill yourself as this guy that everybody's scared of and that everybody's
but caller, what's your name again?
This is Big Jones.
Big Jones, listen, you say you're a fan of Golovkin. I don't know what type of fan you are, right? Because check this out. I understand what you're saying is all fair. If he's calling out certain guys at 168, he should be wanting to fight Ward as well. But Ward does nothing for him. Only thing Ward does is make him more of a monster. Because if he beats Ward, then who's going to fight him now, really?
But here's the thing. It's not about that. And this is one of the points I want to bring up. When did we as boxing fans get to the point where we became the boxer's business manager? Why does it matter how much he's going to make financially or whatever? As a fan,
I'll tell you why.
I'll
tell you why. Let me rebuttal.
What I want to see is the best fighting the best.
Let me rebuttal. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I don't want Ward to fight him, because once he beats Ward, we won't get Chavez, we won't get Cotto, we won't get Carl Froch, we won't get none of those fights that are more exciting and appealing, not only on paper, but also on television. Because the minute you beat Ward, the guy that everyone's already afraid to face, the guy that's already destroyed everyone, who's going to fight you? You're going to be exactly like Ward. You're going to have fucking AIDS like Ward, where no one wants to touch you with a 10-foot pole, because that's what's happening to Ward now. That's why he's calling out Golovkin, because he can't get a fight.
That's what I'm saying. You're perpetuating, with Gennady Golovkin, you're perpetuating what's already happening in the sport. You have guys ducking other guys. You have guys saying, oh, I'm looking out for I want the easiest road to a belt. I want the easiest way to a payday. I want to make the most money possible, which I understand that from a boxer's point of view. But us as fans, I want to see the best fighting the best. And if you open up and you want to bill yourself as I'll fight anyone from 154 to 168, why am I a casual fan if I hold you to that? All I'm saying is I understand what you're saying with that, but I don't understand it coming from Golovkin's mouth.
It never comes from Golovkin's mouth. Abel Sanchez says all the shit. Tom Lawford cleans it all up.
No, check ES News. They asked him about Andre Ward. They've asked him about Andre Ward multiple times. He does not want any part of that. When they brought up Chavez Jr. before the ink dried, he had already signed.
I don't even understand why it's a. I just don't get why it's a big deal that he doesn't want to fight Ward. I don't get that.
Here's my thing. If you don't want to move, okay. Here's my thing. It's not that you don't want. It's that you're leaving out. If you're willing to fight everybody except Ward, if you want to clean out the division and everything, or if you want to go out and fight out Chavez Jr. When you listen, okay. Here's we call out fighters
argument. That's the same argument for Floyd. He wants to fight everybody except Canelo. Like, he'll fight Canelo, but he won't fight anyone else at 154. Oh, he'll fight Floyd. I mean, he'll fight Oscar, but he won't fight anyone else at 154. Like, he picks and chooses too. Everyone does
exactly
it.
What I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. Why don't we hold everybody to the same standard? That's what I'm saying. Floyd Mayweather gets held to that standard. You look at Floyd Mayweather and look at the fighters that he's fought at Gennady Golovkin's age. Gennady Golovkin is not Canelo Alvarez. He's not 24 years old. This is a guy who's 32 years old. I'm just saying, if we're going to hold, I like Gennady Golovkin, but I'm saying if we're going to hold everybody we need to hold everybody to a certain standard, including him. Even if I do like him, I have to keep it real on that front. I hold Floyd Mayweather to that same standard. I want to see Floyd Mayweather fight the best. I would love to see him
I would usually back you on this argument, but I would rather not see a Ward fight. I would rather see him fight Froch or Chavez first. I don't think Ward needs to be rewarded with a fight, and not to mention Ward can't even fight. He can't fight. He's still in litigation. He can't fight.
No. And there was a interview. This was a couple months ago. I think it was on Hustle Boss, but it was on YouTube, where he explained the situation. He said, even though he's going through litigation, he said he can still fight. He talked to his promoter, and he's willing to make these fights. My problem is not. I would love to see him fight a Froch. I would love to see him fight Chavez Jr. I would watch those fights. All I'm saying is when you pick and choose, and then you leave out Ward, and won't even give it the consideration. What do you call it? We reward Cotto because Cotto will go out and take these risks and fight the best. He had a chance to fight Canelo and make bigger money, and he took the tougher test at the time, what we thought, and Sergio Martinez, because he wanted to make history and he wanted to fight the best, and he was rewarded for that. You look at Canelo Alvarez. I have my certain feelings on the way he fights or whatnot, but that dude will fight anyone. And what do you call it? He'll at least give me the chance to make my judgment off him and give me the chance to make my decision on how good I think he is and actually where he stacks up. If you look at everybody, all these potential fights that we're talking about with Gennady Golovkin, he has a clear advantage. And I'm not saying that's completely his fault, but, okay, the one guy that we actually feel would give him a tough test, you want to leave out of your list of guys that you call out. And it just, I have a problem with that when you completely talk about the guys ducking you. You have no problem with someone coming up from 154 to fight you or fighting a small 160-pounder, Miguel Cotto, but then when it's time for you to go up and at least consider taking a challenge, at least sometime in the future, you're not willing to do so.
Well, HBO won't make a fight with a boxer that has promotional issues no matter what Ward says, but I will say that you have made a better argument than me, and I've always been, a guy like that. Like if you call out one, call them all. Boogie Down Sean does that too. He wants Floyd to not just fight the cash cows at 154. So what you're saying is right. Gennady should fight Ward or continue to mention Ward because he started to, and he alleged to that in the past. So you're right. I can't even argue with you. You're right. I just don't. Me personally, I don't want to see the Ward fight. Not yet. Give me the Chavez and the Froch, then give me Ward.
And I would be completely fine with that. My whole thing is I understand that there's barriers to making the fight, but my problem is when I don't see the eagerness from the fighter to do so. I understand your points as well. I understand that, but I'm just saying I think that he has the goods. I think that Gennady Golovkin, if he did test himself, I think he has the potential to do very well. I just want to see that from him, and I just want to hold everybody to that same standard. I'm not trying to call him out because I actually like him, but I just got to keep it real. If I'm gonna criticize the Floyd Mayweather, then I got to criticize Gennady Golovkin. And it's like this is the same thing. When I just hate seeing fans bring up the financial aspect, like we're seeing a sense of that. What happened? I want to see the best fight and the best. I don't care about how much money is in someone's purse. I don't know when we became so consumed with how much money a fighter is making. I understand a fighter is the one that's getting hit, but I don't understand a fan saying, well, he's not a big draw, or, he's more money with this fight, doesn't make business.
Well, the reason, you see, you're saying you don't understand when that happened, but I don't know, your eyes are not open. The reason that we even talk about it, or that's become the normal, is because that is what hinders fights. That is what hinders fights. Chavez doesn't want to fight Ward because a Golovkin fight is bigger than the fight with Ward, because Golovkin is a more popular person than Andre Ward.
Yeah, but you know what the problem with that is?
Ward because Chavez is a more popular person than Andre Ward.
You know what the problem with that is? The problem with that is we're starting to sound like the managers. We're starting to sound like the PR people. That's what the caller's saying. Problem with that is we're starting to sound like the managers. We're starting to sound like the PR people. That's not our job to worry about the business side of it. That's their job to worry about the business side of it. If we're going to sit there and say we don't care about the business side, let's just worry about seeing good fights, then the caller's right. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be the voice of the people, and we're supposed to not worry about that. It's not our job to worry about the financial well-being of a fighter. Our job is to want and promote good and great fights.
You're completely wrong, because
no, I'm not 100% right.
You're supposed to give your listeners all the information, for starters.
You can give the reasons. You can give the reasons why, but you can't jump on board and ride with those reasons, which you seem to be doing right now. You can bring that to the table, but don't ride along and go along with those reasons. That's what I'm trying to say, and that's what the caller's trying to say.
Secondly, the other reason that you have to make the financial part of boxing, out of
it seems like you're agreeing with their reasoning. That's the thing.
Are you gonna let me finish? Because I could swear that I let you finish. I just don't get you. So, like I was saying, because the financials have become such a hindering factor in making fights, that's why we have to speak about it. That's why the casual fan calls in and says, oh, how much is he getting, or how much is he isn't getting?
You're totally ignoring my point, though. You're totally ignoring my point. We have a tendency to go ahead and repeat word for word what these people say and accept it as gospel, whereas we shouldn't worry about that. We should just basically say, hey, you know what? We understand why they're doing what they're doing, but we still don't agree with it. And that's what I'm doing today, and that's what the caller's doing today. Because from a fan's perspective, because we're supposed to look at this fight as like from a fan's perspective, because that's what we are. We don't have a vested financial interest in these fighters. So it serves us no benefit to sit there and say, hey, you know what? I understand why they're doing what they're doing. Meanwhile, we can understand it, but we don't have to go along with it and agree with it. That is the point I'm making. That is the point the caller's making. That's all.
That's exactly why I don't agree with you guys, because you can't just omit such a big key
factor. We're not saying omit it. We're saying we don't agree with it.
But I would be
Take the blinders off. Take the blinders off.
I would be dumb to say I don't agree with something when I know the reasons why. So I do agree, because I understand what's going on. I understand certain fights can't be made because of promoters. I understand certain fights can't be.
But do you like it? But do you like it? Do you like it?
How about you talk? Go ahead. I'll wait.
Do you like it?
Stand when you're done.
Do you like it though? Do you can't talk out of both sides of your mouth because you can't criticize one fighter like Sean tells you all the time. You can't say, "Oh, who cares about the money?" Because you've said it several times. I'm a fan. I don't care about the money. I just want to see great fights. We're the voice of the people. You say that all the fucking time, and now for some reason, when it comes to certain guys, as Sean has said, and as this caller is saying, now you want to switch it up. Okay, we know why fighters do what they do. We know why managers do what they do. But, again, we don't have to ride along with it. I'd rather still see Ward fight Triple G because I don't give a fuck about Triple G's bank account. I don't give a fuck about Andre Ward's bank account. I want to see great fights. And I'd rather see him fight Andre Ward than fight a Daniel Geale, than fight a Peter Quillen, because I think he destroyed Peter Quillen. And that's just my opinion. I'm done. I'm not going to say anything more about it.
Can you give me the example as to where I'm worried about the fighter's financials? Because you're saying that you and the caller agree with each other, and I'm on the other side of that argument. So which is the side that I took? When did I say that I want Triple G to make money? When did I say that?
You're saying it doesn't make sense for him to fight Andre Ward because it's not financially beneficial. It's not financially beneficial towards him. He doesn't need to fight because it's not enough money. And I said the same thing too. He doesn't need to fight. He doesn't need to fight.
The word money. What are you talking about?
Yes, you have. You insinuated it.
You're over there typing. You're not even listening.
I'm listening to every word you say.
I said.
So why doesn't he fight Andre Ward, Ness? Why? Why doesn't he fight him?
Is it my turn to talk?
Answer my question right now. Why the fuck doesn't he fight him? Don't fucking pause. Answer the fucking question.
Because you have to talk over people.
Well, answer the fucking question. Why doesn't he fight him? You can't answer it. Why doesn't he fight him?
Okay, so like I was saying.
Why doesn't he fight him? Answer the question. Don't dance around it.
Like I was saying, I said that I didn't want Golovkin to fight Ward.
What?
I didn't say anything about that. What I did say is it does nothing for him. That's what I said.
Who cares if it does anything for him? Why does it do anything for him?
I also said that, Golovkin and Ward, it's not a bigger fight than Chavez and Golovkin. That's what I said. So I don't know what you're talking about. I never said the word financials, and I never said what else you said? Financials and that it's not enough money. I never said that. I said I don't like it. Stylistically, the fight that's better for me is Chavez and Carl Froch.
Babe, you're on mute, brother.
What? I mean, I got kind of caught up in your argument, but I just don't. I get what you're saying, but I mean, I think B kind of explained, exactly how I feel, and I just feel like us as fans, from a fan's perspective, why do we give the fighters another option, another bullet to duck around and maneuver and avoid fights?
Because people like Ness want to play manager, and they want to play fucking promoter, and they want to play fucking advisor, and they worry about how much fighters make. I don't give a fuck how much fighters make.
Yeah, because people like B rather be ignorant and act like they don't know what's going on.
No, I know what's going on. Like, just for instance, I know people at my job have that job because they know someone and they're not qualified. Do I have to accept it? Do I agree with it? No, I'm going to say I don't agree with it. Am I going to ride with it because that's the status fucking quo? No, you're riding with shit because it's the status fucking quo. Okay, so don't sit there and say you're the voice of the people if you're riding with the status fucking quo. That's all I'm saying.
Beeb, explain how I'm riding
with it. What do you mean by bigger fight? Is it a bigger fight how? Monetarily? Or is it more competitive? Bigger fight how?
Popularity. If you shut the fuck up, you probably can listen. Popularity. How many more motherfucking tickets are gonna be sold, idiot?
So So tickets sold. What does that mean, though? Who cares? That's money. Why do you care? Why do you care? Why do you care how many tickets are going to be sold? Don't you want to watch? Who cares if 3 people show up and it's a great fight? So you're going to say the fight sucked because only 3 people bought it? You're not making fucking sense. You're the fucking idiot. Who cares? So who cares? Anybody can. 1 million people can buy the fight, right? And it could suck, but because 1 million people bought it, that's better. Is that what you're saying?
That's not what I'm saying.
You just don't want to see the guy lose.
That's not what I'm saying.
You don't want to see the guy lose.
You say, now I don't even know what other words.
Why can't he? Why? He's fucking blowing people out left and right. He would probably beat Froch, and he would probably beat Chavez Jr. So the only fucking challenge out there is Andre Ward. Why not have him fight the guy who's the biggest challenge? Because you don't want to see him lose.
Is it my turn to talk?
You like the guy. You're being a fanboy right now.
Can I talk? Can I talk?
Go ahead.
Okay. So, like you said, I don't want to see him lose. I believe that I was the last person on this panel to get on the Golovkin bandwagon. I've always wanted him to prove himself.
But you're on it now.
It makes sense.
But you're on it now.
Just like half the shit you said doesn't make sense because you
yes,
say
it does.
You said
why do you care how many? Why do you care how many pay-per-views a fucking that?
Anyway, like I said, I was the last one to ride with Golovkin. I also never said that I want to see him make money or none of that. I just think that the Golovkin fight versus Chavez is a better fight, just like I think that the fight with Froch would be a better fight. And I said popularity. Popularity doesn't have anything to do with money, regardless of the fact of people buying the tickets or not. I'm talking about more people want Golovkin Chavez or Golovkin Froch than they do want Andre Ward versus Golovkin. It's that simple. But Caller, I'm going to go ahead and put you on mute and get to some other callers. But, yo, you started a great topic there. 973, you're live on the Boxing Voice. Who's this?
Yo, this is just Ozzy.
What's up, brother?
What up with y'all? Chilling. I want to shout out to Beeb. I consider him the oracle of boxing knowledge. The brother makes a lot of good points, as you do too. But I just want to clear something up about the dude that keeps referring about my comment I had made about the Adama ring size. The dude could just Google the fucking fight and go look at it. Now, before I even brought that up last time I called in, I said Golovkin has skills. I said he has good power, but the fights he were put in always gave someone a reason to, pretty much dispute him as being legitimate. And I said he would beat Geale by unanimous decision if the ring is, regulation size. And I thought Geale is a credible fighter, 2-time world champion. They had the good size ring, and he knocked him out in 3. Now, there's no, you can't refute anything about that. You can't dispute it. It was great. I now see the ability in him. I see some little flaws, as far as defensive wise, but I've always thought he was a great fighter. I wasn't against the dude. I chose him to win the fight. I just wanted it to be like an even playing field, and he proved it. He proved it. No doubt. He left no doubt in no one's mind. Knocked the dude out in 3 rounds, and that was it. He proved himself, and that's how you do it. You don't leave it in controversy like Canelo does all the time. But he proved himself. I'm happy for him, and I do want to see him. The next fight I would like to see him fight is, since he fought Stevenson, dude with tremendous power, no real technical skills, he destroyed him. Went on to beat up some couple other good guys. Then he fought Geale, who is a legitimate dude, and he knocked him out in 3 rounds. Dude has great technical skills, not a lot of power. I think the next person he should fight should be Peter Quillin. because he has a mixture of both skills and power. And I think Golovkin would beat him. Will probably knock him out. He'll last a little bit longer than Geale, but I think Golovkin will knock him out. But now on the Ward situation, he should fight Ward because it came out of his mouth. It came out of Golovkin's mouth in the pre-fight meeting to the Rosado fight. I believe it was Jim Lampley that had Ward sitting right next to him and Golovkin sitting right across from him and said, Golovkin, is this a guy you would like to face if you win? And he goes, yeah, give me a couple more fights and I think it'll be a good fight. And
hey,
then
Ozzy,
he came out and said,
I'll ask you this question and I'll throw out a statement. I did an interview with Andre Ward. It's on video and Beeb forgot. He watched it. He liked it. Now, I asked Andre Ward about fighting Golovkin. He said that fight needs to build up. It needs to marinate. This was the day that Golovkin beat Macklin. So who has Golovkin beat since Macklin that this fight has marinated, or is Andre Ward desperate? But that's besides the point. My question to you before I get to someone else, because we got a ton of calls I got to get to, what fight would you rather see first if Golovkin is going to go to 168? You know the three. Pick your choice and let me move on.
If he's going to go to 168, fight Ward. You know, people consider Golovkin the top dog, even without the lineal title. They consider him the top dog at 154. So if you're going to move up to 168, why not fight the top dog there, you know? When Floyd was top dog at 147 and Canelo was considered top dog at 154, so they met each other. Why not fight the top dog? And it's about the best versus the best. And I agree, it really shouldn't matter on who's making more money or ticket sales or whatever, because most of the casual fans that are emotionally attached to certain fighters wouldn't want that fight because it's a huge risk. Now, real boxing fans that don't give a shit about any about that will want to see it because it's the best versus the best, and it's the style. So if you're considered, even Miguel has the lineal title, he's not considered the best in 160. Golovkin is. He's considered the man. So if you're going to move up, fight the man in the next weight division.
All right, there you have it. He picked Ward. 209. You're live on the Boxing Voice. Who's this? 209, you're live.
Hey.
Hey.
What's up, man?
What's up? Who's this?
Jay Corpus.
Hey, Jay Corpus. Long time, brother. What's up, brother? What would you rather see first? Ward, Golovkin, or Chavez? I mean, Frach.
Hold on.
I'm going to put a poll on the site, Ness. You just gave me a great idea. Thank you.
Yeah. Put the poll.
I'll put a poll on the site. And by the way, I still love you, Ness. I'm sorry for calling you idiot. I fucking love you, man.
Listen, man.
I don't mean you're far from an idiot. I was just cussing you out. Now I'm fucking kissing your ass. But I don't like to call you names, man. I shouldn't have called you idiot.
Nah, it doesn't matter, brother. That's what these guys don't get, that we have personal relationships. This shit flies all the time with brothers, man. This sibling rivalries over here between
I love him. I love him like a brother, man. I'd take a fucking bullet for him.
Go ahead, Jake.
You know, if I'm a trucker, right? So I usually catch stuff on Stitcher later, you know. But those moments there when you guys get into those really hot arguments, I'm dying laughing in my truck, man. And to hear it live, I'm just on hold, just laughing at the whole thing. So
I go back and laugh at him too. I'm not gonna lie.
I catch the first round. I don't know if anybody talked about it yet, but that was a long first round. You guys catch that?
Yeah, we touched on it officially. I believe it was like 4 minutes. They said.
That's so crazy. I mean, I'm a casual fan. I don't watch boxing hardcore, I guess you guys would say. I'll be the first to admit I don't know a lot about boxing, but that's the first time I've experienced that, watching it live on HBO.
I don't even believe you. You've been listening to this show and numerous others for 3 years already. So I doubt you're not a fucking hardcore by now.
not hardcore like y'all, man. Y'all get into it, like history and all that. I mean, I guess you could say I'm a hardcore like podcast person. Like I know like the characters that call into the shows, but I'm not a hardcore boxing fan.
Yeah, but there's people.
A lot of you guys love to claim, so that's cool though.
There's people that call in.
I catched that first round, and I thought that was pretty crazy. And if you guys didn't touch on that yet, but I guess you guys did, so that was it.
All right, Jay Corbus.
That-
We did touch on it though. You can catch it on the podcast like you always do. 757, you're live on the Boxing Voice. Who's this?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? This is Timbo from Virginia.
What up?
Not much, man.
Yo,
Just
you
wanted
and
to talk about the
Antonio.
fight.
You and Antonio from Virginia sound so much alike. I guess it's a VA thing.
Yeah, it probably is. But I got to give it to Golovkin, man. Like, he did his thing. I mean, Geale was a legitimate contender, 2-time world champion. I mean, I really thought he was going to go to 12 rounds. I didn't think he was going to get him out of there in the 3rd round. But last night, what really pissed me off was Jennings, man. Like, he really disappointed me, man. He was in there with a guy that looked like he was only conditioned to go 5 rounds. And he let this guy hang with him. I mean, you could tell Perez was gassed after 5 rounds. And I just cannot believe that Jennings let this guy go 12 rounds with him. So, I mean, I really thought Jennings had a chance against Wilder, Stavern, and Klitschko, but I don't believe it anymore, man. After that performance last night, no way. There's no way he could hang with Stavern or Wilder. And let me be the first one to say it, come September 9th, I believe Pulev is going to beat Klitschko. So I just want to be the first one to put that out there.
Okay.
So it probably won't be a Klitschko fight anyway, because I believe Pulev will probably pull up will probably pull out the upset. What y'all think about that?
I don't know. I gotta more looking into. I know that Vic is really big on Pulev, but I don't know, man. I think Vladimir and his brother like.
I'd still favor Vladimir, but
The only reason I say that Pulev will pull out that fight was mainly because of the Tony Thompson fight. Usually, Tony Thompson could beat everybody except for Vladimir. But the way Pulev made Tony Thompson look like, I mean, Pulev is really slick, and he has a great jab, man. He has a very, very good jab. And he does a lot of moving, a lot of moving around in the ring, kind of like Laura. So, I mean, if the referee doesn't let Klitschko push the guy's head down and do a bunch of holding, I think Pulev is going to pull up the upset, man.
Well, we're gonna have to wait and see, brother. I'm gonna get to some of the callers here. We're coming into drive-by mode. 516. You're live on the Boxing Voice. Who's this?
Yo, what up, kid? It's KH. It's Kev Horn from Long Beach.
Kevin Horn, what it do?
What's up, man? So, I think y'all already touched on everything I was really going to get into, but I was just thinking out of the box with this Triple G, because moving up, it don't seem like he has any interest in moving up. And if Chavez don't take the fight's not really out there for him. And I agree, like, I don't know why anybody's mentioning Ward when the guy can't fight. He continues to go to litigation and he loses. He's not going to fight with promotional disputes, so it's not going to happen. Like, there's no point even talking about it. What do you think about somebody from 154 that's really trying to make a name to step up? Like this guy Andrade keeps talking about being a superstar and wants to be the next star. If he's not going to get that Canelo fight at 154, what about him stepping up? Is that something that I was just thinking outside the box that I thought would be a pretty fun fight?
he's a big guy too, so I mean, it doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility that he could fight at middleweight.
Kind of like Bernard Hopkins in that he comes into camp at like 168. He never gets too heavy.
No. Like I said, it just doesn't seem like anyone at 160 is going to even be a challenge for him. So that's why you want him to move up. And I don't think he would be exceptionally small at 168. He wouldn't be big, but we've seen guys at 5'10" super middleweights, 5'9" super middleweights. So it's not crazy. And
Yeah, I think he has plenty of size. I think he has plenty of size for 168. But
yeah.
at this point in his career, I don't think Froch wants anything to do with him. Chavez already basically turned down 3 different offers Aaron gave him for him. So it's like, who's going to fight him up there? There's no big fights up there either for him. This is the guy who just sold 8,500 tickets in the Garden. What's it going to take to get him to the next level? He does everything that fans want him to do. He comes out, he fights, he knocks people out, he stalks people. He's shown he's got a great chin. He's got tremendous power, and it's just it's crazy. I mean, he mentioned Cotto. I would love to see if Cotto could pull him down to a catch weight of like 158, 157, and fill out that Garden and let that Garden go crazy. Because from what I heard, it was a pretty good atmosphere over there.
I just want to say one thing about the Ward situation, and obviously I'm not a lawyer and I'm not in the camp, but I think, and I suspect strongly, and I don't know this for a fact, but I think if Ward just drops this lawsuit, then he can fight whenever he wants. I think it's him, and this is just my opinion. This is what it seems like to me. I can't say this is factual, but it just seems like to me that he's being very hard-headed with the situation, and as you said, made a great point. He's gone to litigation numerous times, and he's lost numerous times. So at some point, he's got to just deal with the realization of it, that he's got to ride out this contract or maybe try to buy himself out of this contract or do something. But to just go to litigation and think he's going to get out of this unscathed, it seems kind of crazy to me. But again, I'm not a lawyer. But I think it's on him.
That's right. If he drops the suit, he'd be right in the ring, like no problem.
So he's biting off his nose to spite the rest of his face.
Dude,
It seems like he's biting off his nose right now to spite the rest of his face for some reason, and he needs to stop.
Mentioning like Bernard Hopkins and saying, he went through litigation and all that. He went up, but Bernard Ross would have to do a settlement and move on. This dude losing 2-3 times, and he's not winning. And when you think about the job that his management done for him, I mean, like you said, we don't know what's going on in the back end, who's supposed to get paid. It seems like every big fighter has a manager, an advisor, a co-manager, a co-promoter. They want their own promotion company. So we don't know how the money's supposed to get split. But we're talking about a guy who, let's face it, is not a very exciting fighter. He fought in the Super 6 where people are traveling all over the world, and he stayed basically in his hometown. He's made a ton of money. His guarantees on HBO are through the roof. Meanwhile, his ratings aren't even near like Triple G's ratings. And so it's like, what kind of complaints could he have for his manager? Like, they've done a hell of a job promoting this guy. And he's, like you said, just biting his own nose off despite his face.
That's exactly my point, man. I mean, you guys are this has turned into the Andre Ward show, and he's not done anything. Like, he hasn't fought in forever. What I do want to talk about is Adrien Broner again, because this is why I like this dude. He stays in the media and he stays saying something, I guess, appealing to me, but
it's appealing to a lot of people. He draws eyeballs to the sport.
Exactly. He does ratings anyway. Some of his quotes, and I'm going to say them all before I let you guys touch on it. He says, I'm chilling at camp, but I still don't have an opponent, he told the ESPN. He said, I really don't care who I fight September 6th. Somebody got to come to Cincinnati and get their ass kicked. By the end of the year, I should have a junior welterweight world title. He also went on to say, although that, I mean, he didn't say this. I'm going to give you the quote in a minute. But although, Golden Boy already said Spadafora is not in the works, Broner did say if he and Spadafora met, Spadafora would get his ass knocked out. And then he did mention the story that we broke about Emmanuel Taylor, and he said, I heard it could be the guy that just beat Mayfield. So if I fight him, I could just shoe shine his ass. What's his name? I don't know. I don't know him. He's probably a guy who got my autograph. Adrien Broner's willing to fight anyone. who will fight him. I think I can make 135, but I don't want to fight at 135 because they'll just say I'm bullying little guys. So, yeah, Broner still talking shit.
I liked your interview with Taylor when he was like, Broner says all that stuff, but he hasn't really said it to, dudes from the hood and stuff like that, or
That was
black
a great
dudes.
interview. That was an outstanding interview.
That as like, he's usually trying to bully, like you said, bully little guys at the different weight class, and I don't think Taylor's any scared of him. And I don't know if you noticed in that Molina fight, at the end of the second round, he got caught with that same overhand right that Gavin Reese was hitting him with, that Maidana hit him with, and it stunned him. And he tried to play it off like he backed off, and he backed to the ropes and talked to the crowd like it didn't hurt. Then he grabbed Molina by the head and started playing with him, like, holding him. But you saw his legs wobble for a second, and, like, he might just have a soft spot right on the top of the head right there, the side of the head right there.
Check this last quote out. This is the best one. You guys are going to hate him for it. We all know that Broner and Matisse aren't facing each other, but he goes on to say, this is what they should do. They should give me and Lucas Matisse a warm-up fight at 6 and at 7 p.m., then we could fight each other at 11 p.m.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask both of you guys this. He's great for the sport in terms of popularity, brings eyeballs to the screen, puts asses in the seats, whatever. Is he going to get better as a fighter? Will he be that star in terms of talent or just personality?
Well, based on his last performances, I could say no. But if he starts to look good again, it's a different story. But, for me, his highlight, the climax of his career was Antonio DeMarco. Then in the Paulie fight, it was iffy. Then Maidana starched him, and then Molina was also a horrible fight. Like, you were supposed to dominate. He did in spots, but he couldn't. He never took Molina's will. And he never really, to me, didn't show dominance. Did he outland Molina? Probably. But it wasn't a fight that I was like, oh, I got to go back and watch this. It wasn't Antonio DeMarco.
How would he do against the John Molina?
DeMarco he's a very good inside fighter. And you see even when he hits the heavy bag, he's mainly just bumping his front shoulder off the bag, doing inside work. He does no footwork. And that DeMarco fight's good. That's why I always said him versus Peterson would be a good fight. But just because of the closeness of the crews, I don't see that happening. Because Peterson, even though he looks like he's rangy and should be a boxer, gets caught fighting inside a lot. And I'm like, man, him and Broner would be a good bang, just sitting there shoulder to shoulder going at it. And I was really kind of like thinking that'd be a good fight for him. But Broner and maybe Beeb could comment on it. So I know he looks at a lot of like the technical things. Like when you see him in that Maidana fight, from like rounds 4 through 9, before that second knockdown, he was walking Maidana down, and he kind of had like the high guard, the way like Floyd would throw off the high guard before he shoots that lead right hand. And he was doing fine, and he was walking him down. He was winning those rounds, and Maidana said he was hitting him with hard shots, so he does have power. The problem is right away, then he gets away. He was doing that, got comfortable, went back to that Philly shell, does the same thing. He steps back with his back foot, drops his left arm, boom. He's wide open every single time. And you're not taking punches from 130, 135 pounders anymore. You're taking punches from guys like Matisse, Maidana, and you're not going to last long.
Hey, Kevin, let me get to some other callers here. We're coming up on drive-by mode, and we still got a lot to get to. 513, you're live. What's this?
It's Will Cade, Cincinnati.
What's going on, brother?
What's happening? I hear y'all talking about Adrien, but I still don't think he can beat Lucas Matisse. He can't beat Danny. He can't beat nobody that's going to hit him hard as he going to hit them. But I'm going to go back on what you and Beeb was arguing over with the Chavez and the Triple G and all them. The thing of it is, Triple G after the fight said he want to unify the titles. And for what I've been hearing, Chavez was talking about coming down. I don't think Triple G should go up. Because Ward didn't want to go up to fight motherfucking Chad Dawson. Fuck Ward. He ain't bringing no money to the table. If he really want to fight Triple G, let him bring his ass down. But it's about prize fighting. Triple G would make more money fighting Chavez than he would fighting Ward.
That's
like
the
how
argument. That's the argument.
like with
Caller.
Laura backed out of a fight with Floyd.
Caller, that's the argument. And that's where the lack of communication came, because I'm not saying that it would be a bigger money fight. I think that it would be bigger in terms of popularity. Bieber's going to settle that with a poll. We'll see what people think. But that's what the first caller who initiated the debate said. When have us, the fans, turned into basically managers or advisors? And it's kind of hinting at what you're saying. You're saying one fight would be, bigger money, saying that Ward doesn't bring any money, so he needs to go down. And that's what the caller is questioning you and others like that. I didn't get involved in that where Beeb got the lack of communication. Clearly you are. So what he's saying is that we shouldn't care if Ward makes money or doesn't make money. He should just want to fight, and Golovkin should just want to fight.
No, black man said Shane Mosley, 40-year-old Shane Mosley. The money is on Cinco de Mayo when he's fighting Hispanics. It's about that paper. It's called prize fighting.
And that,
Ward ain't done shit. I would give Ward the glory to go up to fight him. Have Ward come down like he did Chad Dawson.
And that is my argument, that when you are made aware of what's going on, then it's just dumb of you to be asking for fights that you know aren't going to happen. That's my argument. Not that money matters, not that this fighter should get more or who brings more, just the fact that intangible ruins the fight. It ruins the fight because it becomes a negotiation tactic.
But my whole thing is this. I would favor Golovkin over Froch. I would favor Golovkin over Chavez Jr. And this to me would be the big test. This would be the toughest fight, in my opinion. And the caller made an excellent point. He made an excellent point. Why wouldn't Ward drop down to 160? Because again, Ward did say he would drop down to 160 to fight Floyd. So why can't he drop down to 160 to fight Golovkin? Sir, you made an excellent point. You made an excellent point, sir, and I will concede your point.
I'm gonna tell you. One of the most respectful boxers I know in my lifetime is his birthday today, I believe. That's Paul Williams. Paul Williams will fight anybody from 147 to 160 because he had to go where the money was. Fuck fighting a fight that he might lose and not make no money. Whoever he could possibly get a good fight with, he was willing to go to their division and fight him.
Yeah, man. Well, 513, you make some great points, and that is true about Paul. Let me get to some of the callers because, like I said, we're on drive by 760. You're live. Who's this? 760.
Hello?
Going once. Going twice.
Hello.
Okay, what's up, brother? Talk to us.
Hey, you said 760 or 706.
Yeah, well, this real talk boxing, right?
And it's thong.
Real
Oh shit! Hey man, why'd you sucker punch that dude last night, man? Why you sucker punch that dude?
Yeah, man, that's why they took a point. Okay, real talk.
Man,
we're on drive-by mode, real talk. So you gotta, light a fire under them feet, man. You dragging already.
Ain't no drive-by when you. All right, well, I'm gonna have to agree with you today on this one, man, because I think there's just so many people that want to see Golovkin. I mean, there's so many haters out there that just want to see Golovkin lose. They would rather watch a boring fight just to see him lose rather than watch an entertaining fight. So yeah, I would much rather see Chavez Golovkin. And on the other hand, that guy, the last guy made a good point. He shouldn't have to. Everybody's screaming for him to fight War, but they never sat and saw and think, who's gonna fight at what weight class? Is Gennady gonna have to go up? Obviously, fucking War is a light heavyweight, really, and Triple G, he's really a small middleweight. So they didn't really even think about that shit before they started screaming, fight War, because at the end of that conversation, it's going to be, well, Ward definitely has to come down and meet him somewhere at 160, or somewhere in the middle. So, I mean, he's going to have to drain himself because he already has to cut weight to make 168. So, yeah, I wouldn't I think there's just a lot of people that want to see Ward lose.
Triple G lose. But to be honest with you, I don't have the utmost respect for Ward's style anyway. I kind of, when you talk about the best fighters, it's a matter of opinion because some people don't even respect his style. He cheats a lot in fights. He holds and he does a lot of dirty shit in fights. And if you watch Triple G is a lot more cleaner fighter to begin with. So, as far as saying it's a fair fight, a bigger guy fighting a smaller guy who's a dirty fighter to begin with, I don't see that's the best fighting best, and that's just my opinion. I see somebody that fronts like they're the best, but until they fight someone with the skills of Mayweather, that they ain't gonna be able to get away with that dirty shit. You know what I mean? Then there's just nobody up there to fight Ward as good as Floyd that's gonna expose his, his dirty style.
Kovalev.
Like
Don
Kovalev.
Stevenson would be a great fight for Ward. I don't know why he wouldn't take that.
People don't want Ward to move up. They're not with their pitchforks in the fire like they are for Floyd and like they are for Golovkin. But Ward's been fighting at 168 his entire career. It's probably time for him to move up. But real talk, let me get to some other people, brother, because again, we're on drive-by and I still got a lot of callers, man. I'm sorry. You were calling in the Skype as well. Cool. That's why it took you so long. You got to call into the show, man. Let me see. Chris Miller, you're live.
I know, dude. It's crazy. These people are nuts, dude.
Chris, going once. Going twice.
Rapper.
You're gone. 4110, you're live. Who's this? 4110.
Yo, hello?
Yes,
Hello?
I mean 410. What the hell?
Yeah, hello. This is TYB more, man.
What's going on, brother?
And how you feeling, man? Long time listener, first time calling, man.
All right, brother. You finally lost that virginity on the show.
I know, man. I should have been calling a while back, man. Real talk, but I'm in here now, man. I'm in the house. Listen, man. Real talk, man. First thing I want to go into detail about is man, what's up, man? Mouse pitch on Cotton on the Jenkins fight. It was quiet. It was uneventful. Now, I really feel like my man, he came out the fight. You know what I mean? I'm talking about Jenkins. He came out the fight. You know what I'm saying? He put his combination together. But therefore, man, he kept letting main man Perez push him back against the ropes. You know what I'm saying? It feel like to me that he was really, really falling back and letting the man take advantage of him. First of all, let's go like this. Man, Perez was parking lot pimping on him. You know what I mean? He was just like laying on him. Like just laying in the cut, just falling his whole body. You see the man legs? The dude got elephant legs. And he was just laying on him like, what was it, after the 5th round or so? I mean, I went round for round with this fight. You know what I mean? Judging this fight round for round. I'm like, listen, man. All right, Perez, he Cuban boxer. We understand, you know what I mean, the history behind, them and Landry. All these other dudes that came from boxing in Cuba, whatever the case may be. But this dude right here, man, listen, I had it up to the skies with this dude. You know what I mean? Sky's the limit with this dude right here, man. He came out. You know what I'm saying? And the dude, man, I mean, real talk, man. Now, listen, man. The dude is kind of like on some lazy shit. He lazy, man. He lazy. You know what I mean? After the 5th or 6th round, he done. Of course, you could look at him. His stamina wasn't in order. The man, the man physicality. So, I mean, of course, he's kind of big, whatever the case may be. But he did this shit the last fight. He did the same thing the last fight, man. As soon as he started getting tired, you know what I mean? He started laying on the dude. You know what I mean? He wasn't forcing the issue. He was forcing the issue on his weight factor. And we already know Jennings is 222. And I don't know what did he weigh coming into the fight that last night?
I didn't catch the weight.
No, he was like 220 last night. He was still around that same weight, 222.
Oh yeah, he was 222 coming in. But listen. Perez was like, man, when the fight started, he was like 268.
Oh no, Perez went in there 242.
Like a straight NFL player coming out there that night.
He waited at 242, Perez.
Huh?
Perez waited at 242, but Jennings was 222, so there was like 20-pound weight advantage.
Okay, yeah, man. I mean, come on, man. This is crazy right there. I mean, but listen, man. You know what I mean? It was an uneventful fight. You know what I mean? If you was sitting there, whoever was there at that fight, you can hear mouse pits on cotton. That's how quiet it was. And I mean, I'm sitting in my crib like, yo, I mean, I need some spark. I need some attention. I need something to jump off. I need some fireworks. But you know, all right, I'm gonna go off from that, man, because too many people ain't really talking about that fight. That's how uneventful it was. I mean, Triple G. And real talk, Ness and all my other dudes, man. Hey, yo, Friday had a lot of fights, man.
Yes.
I was on cable, like going from one. Yo, listen, I was going from my bedroom to the living room to the kitchen, trying to like catch all the fights, even though simultaneously, you know what I'm saying, they came on different times. We had the ESPN joint that was rocking. You know what I mean? They was doing a thing. Then you had the what was it? Showtime. They did something too, and you had Fox Sports. Triple G, man. It was what it was. Come on, man. Come on, son. Yo, that dude was not going to beat that man. He came out there throwing all these punches, you throwing them in bunches, trying to move his feet. I mean, man, real talk, man, he's like a prize fighter. He's like a dude. What was that? What was that channel back in the day, man, where they used to show like the little gentleman fights and shit? You know what I mean? Where like the local fights in New York. What was that channel in New York they used to show the fights on?
Yes, Network.
Nah, come on. What's the, you know what I mean? You know they show like the little local dudes, and what was the dude that Triple G fought that cursed with? Huh?
I think it's the TCN network.
Thank you. That's what man, come on, man. That's what that dude looked like he supposed to been fighting on. You know what I mean? I mean, come on, man. What was his strategy? What was his strategy? You know what I mean? He came in and bring, huh?
Who you talking about, Geale?
Yes. What was this man's strategy, man? He came out there, man. Okay, all right, man. Triple G came out there. You know what I mean? He real eloquent, real smooth with his groove. And then he come out here fighting this dude. And I'm like, man, this dude right here, man, this dude is not come on, man, a major fight. You know what I mean? That man, listen, man, if you go through that whole class of dudes they got on there, I'm arguing with my dude from New York about this. Man, this man was arguing back and forth about, he needed to take out the whole division. Take out the whole division for what, man? Where's the competition? You know what I'm saying? Yo, it's like the Harlem Globetrotters worked them like playing against them other dudes. That's how lopsided it is. You know what I mean? That dude came out, he was throwing them punches, okay, he was throwing his little combinations, which ain't really have no power to it. You know what I'm saying? Then he moved around. Triple G just sitting there, you know what I mean, just laying his punches. He cutting them off. You know what I'm saying? So the dude couldn't really maneuver like that. You know what I'm saying? And then, he just laid down his foundation, you know what I mean, threw his combinations on him, you know what I mean, throwing straight jabs, and he just laid them out. So, I mean, come on, dog. Look, I'm glad they never even thought about having this fight on pay-per-view. You know what I mean? Like they're going to do this bullshit that's coming up, you know what I'm saying, with our man Pacquiao and Algieri. I'm glad they didn't even think about doing it like that, because it's going to be the same type of outcome, man. The dude could box. Yes, he could. He had no power behind his punches. And I'm sitting there like, man, listen, all right. Okay, all right. What up? Am I going to do a happy hour tonight? You know what I'm saying? I got something late night coming on, because after that, man, come on, man. Ness, you was talking about that shit last week. You know this was going to be a wrap. Well, Thursday, matter of fact, let me see. I listened to a Thursday, it's to a Sunday. Come on, man. You know what's going to be over. You knew what's going to be over. You called it. That it was going to be over fast. You know, come on, man. Nobody even called in and going to talk about the shock of the hour and all this other type of bullshit, man. It was crazy. You know what I mean? But of course, I'm a boxer, man. I love boxing, man. So I had to watch it, especially if I got HBO.
Let me get to some other people, but I will tell you this. It is kind of a shocker because Daniel Geale has never been stopped, and he stopped him inside of
90 seconds.
I understand that you feel that it's not the level of opposition, equal level, and you're right, but he's still a durable guy, and he knocked out a durable guy in 3 rounds. 647, you're live. Who's this?
Ivan.
Ivan.
Yeah.
What up?
I'm calling from Toronto, Canada.
All right, what's going on, brother? Talk to us.
Yeah. Just
60 seconds.
I want to say, what do you guys think of these rumors about a possible showdown between Triple G and Cotto?
It's no rumors. He called out Cotto, but we just don't believe over here on the Boxing Voice that Cotto's going to take that right just yet. Cotto may take it because he's proven that he's badass. He's proven he's got, balls of steel, but I don't know. I'd be shocked if he took this Triple G fight.
Yeah. I'm with you guys. I think the same thing. I think that Cotto won't accept it. Freddie Roach won't let him take the fight. I just think that right now, too many people.
10
they got it all
seconds.
twisted with Miguel Cotto's win over Maravilla Martinez. I'm still not convinced with Cotto. I think that if Miguel Cotto would have fought Maravilla a couple years ago, there's no way he would have won that fight. So at this point, I think Miguel Cotto doesn't stand a chance against Triple G.
All right, brother. Well, let me get to some other callers. I will say this, Beeb. A lot of people, even myself included, we weren't giving Cotto credit. And after the fight, we're making excuses about, Martinez's health. But, I guess the only fact that we do have is in his last two performances, he's knocked guys out. And he's looked good knocking them out. So say what you want about the opposition. Same way you're giving Golovkin credit for knocking guys out, you got to give Cotto that credit. 111111, you're our last caller, brother. Who's this? Skype. If you're calling in on Skype, 1111, you're live. Who's this? Okay. All right, fellas. Well, I guess that is it. Before we get out of here, I do want to talk about Glenn Tapia because this is interesting. Glenn Tapia was supposed to be on the Gennady Golovkin undercard as well, and the New York State Athletic Commission did not approve him for a New York boxer's license. Usually, they don't approve you. It's because you suffered a knockout and you have a certain amount of days, or it's the blood work. But boxing normally only tests for HIV and hepatitis. There was no problems with his blood work. However, New Jersey, for whatever reasons, their test is more extensive, which doesn't make sense to me, being as though that Tapia is a resident of New Jersey, but the fight was taking place in New York City. But the medical team in New York did not approve his blood work, which had nothing to do with HIV or hepatitis, Moretti from Top Rank said. And the same blood work was approved in New Jersey for the last fight a month ago, while the respect of the decision that was made, they understand, but they have plans to ask for a clarification for the next fight accordingly. But that's basically it. I mean, there's some minor headlines about the WBC, but James already made that statement, basically letting you know the WBC isn't going to sanction Garcia versus Salka, and instead, if Garcia loses this fight, those belts will be declared vacant. If Garcia wins this fight, he has to make his mandatory defense immediately. That's basically it, guys. We'll be back Thursday, of course. And, I'm your host, NesGTO. You can find me at NesGTO on Twitter. And you can always find my good friend Beeb at
JHabeeb1 at Twitter, man. And I will be posting the rankings as soon as we're done here. And I will put the new poll up on the site and on the app. So make sure you guys look out for that. Once again, shout out to Robert Palmer for doing those rankings for us every month. Does a great job with that. Whether you agree or disagree with some of his choices, at least they're up there, and you can always comment and talk to us about what you think should be changed, and we'll definitely listen to you.
All right, guys. Well, see you Thursday.
Thank you for using Blog